Town manager? Town manager? Town manager, good. Good evening. I call this November 25th, 2025 meeting of the Morrisville Town Council to order. Thank you to those here in person with us tonight. And we have a really nice crowd because we have a couple of awards to give out. Those watching via live stream and those who are watching the recording of this meeting. Our town mission statement, which helps guide our decisions tonight and into the future, is connecting our diverse community to an enhanced quality of life through innovative programs and services. Officer Gull, who actually grew up in Morrisville, attended Morrisville Elementary, Weatherstone Elementary, West Cary, and Panther Creek, is our Sergeant-at-Arms for this evening's meeting. Thank you for being here with us. This evening, Councilmember Rao will be leading our invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. Please bow our heads in prayer. Gracious and loving God, as we gather this evening in the spirit of thanksgiving, we pause to acknowledge the many blessings that sustain our town, our families, and our shared purpose. In this season of gratitude, help us remember that Thanksgiving is not only about what we receive, but about how we give, our service, our compassion, our commitment to one another. Tonight, we also pause to honor the memory of President John F. Kennedy, as our nation reflects on his life and his tragic assassination on November 22nd, 1963. We are reminded of the call he issued to every American in his inaugural address, to summon the best of ourselves in service to the common good. His vision for unity, courage, and civic duty feels especially urgent in times such as these. Lord, we lift up our immigrant communities, our friends, neighbors, and coworkers who are living in fear following the recent ICE raids in Raleigh. We ask that you surround them with your protection and your peace. Grant comfort to families facing uncertainty, and guide us as leaders that we may work towards justice, dignity, and compassion for all who call this region home. As we begin this meeting this evening, please give us clarity of mind, generosity of spirit, and the humility to listen to one another. May our decisions reflect not only wisdom, but kindness, not only progress, but humanity. I end this invocation in the words of President John F. Kennedy, his inaugural, who left us with these words: that the energy, the faith, and devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our community and all who serve it, and the glow from that fire can truly light the world. May that spirit guide us tonight and always. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All who are able, please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we adopt tonight's agenda, it is Town Council policy to review and ensure there are no conflicts of interest or appearance of conflict of interest with any items on the agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to share at this time? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion and second to adopt this evening's regular agenda?
I make a motion to adopt this evening's agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Rao, a second from Councilmember Johnson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. There are 8 items on this evening's consent agenda. Resolution authorizing land dedication for Watkins Road public right-of-way improvements, 2026 PZB chair and vice chair appointments, approval of October Town Council meeting minutes, resolution to approve Wake County quarterly tax reports, resolution to approve local government records retention schedules, resolution appointing advisory committee members, resolution authorizing the surplus of a 2008 KME Predator LFD fire truck, resolution authorizing an amendment to the town manager employment agreement. Would any member of council wish to pull any item for discussion? Or is there a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Rao, second from Councilmember Body. All those in favor of adopting the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0 as well. We have one proclamation listed on our agenda, and that's only for reference, as we'll be reading the Hanukkah and menorah lighting proclamation on the 21st, when we do that out at Indian Creek Trailhead. Next on the agenda is Morrisville Speaks, public comment. For those who have signed up to speak, please approach the microphone, stand when your name is called, begin by stating your name and residential address, and direct your comments to the council. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to ensure everyone has a fair opportunity to share their thoughts. A timer will start after you state your name and address, and a buzzer will sound when your time is up. We appreciate your cooperation in helping us manage time fairly for all participants. Town Clerk Bertling, will you please call forward the first person for public address? Then they'll approach the microphone right there in the center.
Savita Ravinshankar.
Namaste. Good evening, every dear leaders of Morrisville City, Sharma Auntie, and all Morrisville friends. It's my privilege today to introduce the Yoga University of Americas, the American Religious University, the institution that conferred on honorary doctoral degree to Mrs. Saroj Sharma on November 2nd, 2026 at their University Convention held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Incorporated in the state of Florida and authorized by the Commissioner for Independent Education, the university operates under the provisions of Florida State Youth. Since its founding in 2018, it's committed to education rooted in the wisdom of Sanatana Dharma, yoga, and a holistic approach to well-being. Accredited by the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, the university emphasizes practices that nurture physical, mental, and spiritual harmony. Its missions reflect the Indic vision of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. Through online programs ranging from diploma courses to doctoral studies, the university brings the richness of yoga, Ayurveda, philosophy, and other Indic disciplines to students across the globe. In recognition of the spirit of dedication, service, and upliftment, the university proudly honored Mrs. Saroj Sharma, whose life truly embodies these ideals. Decades ago, Sharma Auntie envisioned the creation of Hindu temple. Today, the temple stands magnificent, a beacon of devotion and unity for our entire community. I feel humbled to have been part of this journey. As a PhD student myself at the Yoga University of America, it was an honor to propose Mrs. Sharma's name to the university for this recognition. I felt blessed learning about her extraordinary life, writing her brief biography, and prepare the proposal. Heartfelt thanks to my husband Ravi for his support through this process. Sincere thanks to the University President Dr. Manoharan, Vice President Dr. Yogi Devraj, Vice Chancellor Dr. Arulumallige Parthasarathi, Dean Dr. R. Vadiraju, Administrator Ravi P.S., Mrs. Suma for their guidance, and much appreciations to Mrs. Suman Batra, Mr. Bharat Vedak, Dr. Madhu Sharma, Mr. Manoj Pandey, and Mrs. Shashi Malik, Mr. Balaji, and Mrs. Akhila for their valuable help. At 93, Sharma Auntie continues to inspire us with her unwavering commitment to the community, a commitment she has shared with her husband, Dr. Sharma Uncle, now who is 99 years old. Together, they have been pillars of service and leadership, touching countless lives. On behalf of the Yoga University of the Americas and everyone gathered here today, we offer respect, gratitude, and warmest wishes to the Sharma couple. Congratulations, Dr. Saroj Sharma. May this honorary doctorate stand as a tribute to a legacy that will continue to guide and inspire generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing that forward. We appreciate it. And the next public address speaker,
Munisakaran Mugachintala.
your name and residential address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes, please.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members, and staff. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Munishankara Mugachintala, address 1215 Chena Drive, Morrisville, North Carolina. So I'm here to explain the circumstances surrounding related to the fireworks on Diwali night and to respectfully seek your guidance. Diwali is the festival of lights, a celebration of hope, knowledge, and the victory of light over darkness. My family and I wanted to celebrate safely and responsibly. Our apartment management emailed residents stating that fireworks were not allowed on the property, so we looked for an appropriate public location to use the fireworks we had purchased legally. I also wanted to note that we purchased our fireworks from Costco, which sells only legal items in North Carolina. So we were followed all applicable laws. While driving, we saw a large gathering, over 200 people celebrating Diwali and setting off fireworks at Church Street Park. As we joined the crowd, several people told us they have been celebrating Diwali with fireworks at the same park for the past 4 years without receiving any warnings or notices from authorities. Hearing this reinforced our belief that the location was commonly used for such celebrations and that it might be considered an acceptable place for fireworks. So we participated between 8 to 9 p.m. After finishing, we cleaned the area and we used the ensured we left no debris behind. We caused no property damage or injury, and we have photographs for this support this. After seeing a Facebook post about alleged fireworks damage at the park, we voluntarily contacted to the police to be transparent about being present during the time and providing my name, contact number, and the date of birth. And we had no intention of violating any law or causing harm. We genuinely believed that location was acceptable for celebration because of the large gathering is already taking place. People informing us those celebrations had occurred there for years without any issue. So no past warnings or guidance reported by them, and the fact that the fireworks we used were legally purchased in North Carolina. I would also like to clarify respectfully, with such a large group present, we do not know who may have caused the damage. It is entirely possible that someone else in the crowd may have accidentally burned the grass, but we have no way of identifying who that might have been. So we can say confidently that we did not cause any damage and we cleaned our area before leaving. Today, I'm not here to dispute the town's actions. I'm here to ask for guidance and to work collaboratively to avoid similar misunderstandings in the future. So specifically, I respectfully request the clear communication for future cultural celebrations. Morrisville is adverse town and many cultural festivals like Diwali traditionally include fireworks. If fireworks are fully prohibited in all town parks without exception, we respectfully request that this information be clearly communicated. And the second one is fair consideration of context and good faith actions. And the third one, we are requesting preventing future misunderstandings and supporting community harmony. Thank you for your time, for listening, and for your service. I sincerely appreciate any guidance or next steps you can provide. Thank you so much.
Thank you for closing up your thoughts. Appreciate it. Once it starts beeping, if you could just finish your last thought in the future, if there's more speakers. Next speaker, please. Town
The
clerk.
next speaker is Subareddy Madidreddy.
Welcome.
Good evening, Town Council Administration, as well as Town Council and Mayor and my fellow residents, Morrisville. My name is Subareddy Madidreddy, 113 Elm Heaven Way, Morrisville. I conquer Munishankar. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. I want to speak briefly but sincerely about the recent Diwali firework incident at Church Street Park and the families who have suddenly found themselves facing a citation and potential court cases. First, let's be honest about what actually happened. These families are not criminals. These are innocent people who are celebrating Diwali, a festival of joy and light, and they simply didn't know that fireworks were not permitted at the specific locations. This was a misunderstanding, not misconduct, not negligence, and definitely not intentional harm. And when good people make an honest mistake, our community has a responsibility to respond with fairness, compassion, and clarity. That's why I am respectfully asking our town manager and our chief police and our town leadership to reconsider and withdraw a citation issued that evening. Because for many families, especially immigrants, even a small citation can create unnecessary legal challenges, stress, or immigration complications. No family should have their future impacted because of their misunderstanding a rule which celebrating a cultural festival. We all agree public safety matters, rules matters, but so does proportionally, does common sense. and so does humanity. Instead, punishing these cases through the court system, we have a better, more constructive path. We can encourage these families to be involved in the participation in the community services, volunteering activities, or simply educating programs about the park's rules and fireworks restrictions. That approach builds the understanding, not fear. It strengthens the trust instead of breaking it. And most important, it reflects the true values of Morrisville: a fairness, inclusiveness, diversity, and second chance. We should use this momentum not to divide but educate, not to punish but to guide, not to shame but to support. Let this become a learning moment for all of us, an opportunity to improve communication about the park rules, strengthen the cultural awareness, but building a bridge between our growing and diverse community, the system that serves us. Morrisville it's a best when lead with the both wisdoms and heart. By withdrawing these citations and choosing a restorative approach, we show that we understand the differences between the intentional wrongdoing and honest cultural misunderstanding. Tonight, I ask our town leadership to act with a compassion, discretion, and strength, a kind of leadership that brings the together, protect the families, and keeps our community united. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
That was the end of our written list. I do have one online comment.
Okay, is the online comment one that you are going to read to us, or?
Yes, I just,
Okay,
if you
why
want.
don't you go ahead and do that, and then we'll circle back to anyone who didn't sign.
Bhavana Viravelli, 1601 Carrington Park Circle, Morrisville. Good evening, Council. Thank you for your time this evening. I am leaving a comment regarding the Airport Boulevard Extension project. While I recognize planning and funding are already underway, I urge Council to push for more people-centered design within the current plan. The extension plan currently allots for 4 12-foot wide lanes which invite speed by design, regardless of if officers are placed at ticket or speed limit signage. Traffic calming measures such as narrowing of the width of these lanes and widening pedestrian sidewalks have proven to send a better message to drivers in areas with schools and neighborhoods. Additionally, exploring opportunities to ensure pedestrian safety can include the incorporation of elevated pedestrian crosswalks for better visibility of people, pedestrian islands to break up the width of walking across 4 lanes, the usage of hawk lights to help pedestrians cross busy streets safely, and even landscaping with trees and bushes and medians reflecting neighborhoods rather than highways. While I acknowledge this extension project has been in the works for 20 years and will help traffic congestion, I hope that this plan accounts for the changed demographic of Morrisville and prioritizes current needs with safety and sustainability.
Thank you very much. So thank you to everyone who has spoken. If anyone in the audience did not sign up and would like to address council, please come forward to the microphone stand, state your name and residential address, and you'll have 3 minutes to share your comments. And then afterwards, if you can go to the town clerk and fill out the form, that would be wonderful. Ma'am?
Hello, my name is Patty Chang. I'm at 304 Miller Drive in Morrisville, along the main corridor there. I'm here also to speak about the Airport Boulevard extension. It was good to see that after the one-page summary of this project that was printed out in October, we got a 3-page extension on this project after a number of citizens expressed concerns. And I was glad to hear Councilman Vicky Scoggins Johnson speak at the public works session at the last meeting, expressing concerns and advocating for Morrisville citizens. The fact that this project was handed off to some non-resident planners and engineers to build a road as wide as Interstate 40 through the middle of town, where you're quite pleased or unbothered with the fact that you're willing to cut down 9 acres of trees in the middle of town in order to build what would be a 4 to 5 lane road, which essentially goes nowhere. Because when I asked at the 2021 Candidates Forum, how can you raise our taxes without even having a design for how the Airport Boulevard will extend past the railroad tracks? And here we are 4 years later, you still don't have a design and you don't intend to have a design. You only intend to put this road from Church Street to Davis Drive to Church Street so that traffic from Cary can increase the bottleneck traffic on that Church Street corridor that's already blocked up as it is. And I was also glad to hear Donna Fender speak about how it's crazy that this road is expected to be 45 miles per hour. Mooresville Carpenter Road and Mooresville Parkway is 35 miles an hour, with plenty of residential homes turning into these roads, whether they're expected to be from NCDOT or not. And don't say that this project has been in the works for 20 years. It hasn't. I asked very specifically our non-resident planning director, Ben Hutchinson, I believe his name was, in 2011, is if Airport Boulevard would be connected between the two segments that was so-called named. And he said, very frankly, no, we have no plans of doing that anytime soon. Okay, so the last time that the project was evaluated, we never considered that when the Crabtree Crossing extension was being debated, okay? So none of the citizen concerns have yet been addressed, and you're not really looking to answer the questions that citizens have presented. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Was there anyone else in the audience who would like to address this body for up to 3 minutes? Sure. You can go ahead, or if necessary, you can bring the microphone to her. If you just take it out of the stand. Bharat? Okay, that's fine. Oh, they're leaving. Okay. Sorry. Thought you wanted to say something.
Sorry.
No? Okay. So thank you very much, everyone who addressed the group. As a reminder, we encourage the submission of written comments as they offer a valuable way for community members to share their feedback. To submit written comments, please email publicinput@morrisvillenc.gov. Moving on to the next items. We have 2 presentations tonight. We now invite Kimberly Conley, Sustainability Coordinator, to the podium.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Thank you for having us here this evening. So tonight's very exciting for us, for the Morrisville Environment and Stormwater Committee. This is our 20th annual student art poster contest. So we've been doing this for 20 years. So I think that's something to be really proud of. Sorry, our slides seem to have a mind of their own here. Okay. All right, so let's get started. I'm Kimberly Conley, the Sustainability Coordinator for the town. We had 41 eligible entries this year from 11 different organizations and schools. 20 of those were repeat. 6 students placed last year as well as this year. All first, second, and third place winners will receive a certificate and a gift bag. All artists receive a letter from Mayor Colley for their participation. And the grand prize winner receives passes to the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences, a Georgina's gift card, and the use of a Morrisville town shelter. So let's go ahead and start with that. I'm going to invite up Rajani Verghese. She was a 2-term MESC committee member, and she's going to help us with the names.
Starting with the 5th grade, Kiran Parekh. Kivan.
Congratulations. I'm going to shake your hand, hand that to you, and then we're going to stand at the dot for pictures. Well done.
Fourth grade, Nishrita Moka.
Congratulations, Nishrita. No, that guy? No, that's for the next one. Okay, congratulations, good job.
Second
You
grade,
can go right over there.
Manvita Gurugumala.
Is this Nerdy?
I think you skipped Nervi. Sorry, this is Nervi Mutyalapati.
Okay.
Who's controlling the?
That's me. They're advancing on their own. My apologies. So I'm trying to go back and keep us where we're supposed to be. I'm not sure how to shut that off.
Is something resting on the keyboard here?
You must be very proud.
Kyle, can you take it over?
Hello.
This is Manvita. Manvita Gurugumala.
What is your name? You're Nervy? Okay, so I gave you the wrong name. Sorry about this, we're working on it. That's you, right? Yes. Sorry about that, everybody. We're working through it. Yeah, it's fine. So congratulations. Good job. The camera's going on you. Good stuff.
Tarun Mohan Raja.
Hey, bud, how are you? Smile. I complimented on his boots when he got here. Good job. Excellent.
Avanish Sayala. Kindergarten.
Kindergarten, big guy. Congratulations, I love your jacket, man. Looking sharp. Great job, just stand right over there.
The grand prize winner, Annalisa Disgalve.
Grand prize, congratulations. Way to go. Excellent.
I'd like to invite council.
You all come on up. If you guys want to move forward a little bit, we'll stand behind you and we'll have your back. So can we have you three on the other side of her? 1, 2, 3. Keep going, keep going. a little further. There we go. And you three on this side. And that will, we just find a gap in between them.
At least taller than me. 3, 2, 1. Just one more. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, let all the parents come forward if they want. You can stand up, you don't have to do it from your seats. Okay, great job, everyone. We hope to see you again next year.
thank you to the families for coming in this evening. This is my favorite thing that we do all year, and I think many of council members would agree. So thank you for taking the time. I also wanted to let you know that I brought you, and even though this is as sweet as can be, I brought you some honey. That honey is from our very own Morrisville bees that are located at Fire Station 3. So enjoy. We do have them at 2. We're not collecting honey from 2, but we have a nursery. It's a bee nursery at Fire Station 2. So, thank you again.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all the families. And now we're moving on to the next set of awards. We now invite Erin Hudson, Communications and Outreach Director, to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Thank you for giving us a few moments on the agenda tonight. So we would like to recognize our most recent class of Morrisville 101 graduates. If everyone who is graduating from the Morrisville 101 class would go ahead, stand up, and come join us here on the side. We'll call you by name, hand you a certificate and a gift from the class for graduating. Once we call your name, we'd ask you to come stand up here in the front, and then once everyone has been called, we'll have one group photo with you all, and then one group photo with town council. So very quickly, this is our 20th year of Morrisville 101. Did a little bit of quick math. Don't have the exact number for a couple of years, but if we average anywhere from 10 to 15 graduates per class, we're well over 200 residents of the town who have completed this class. So it's fun to get to hear the presentations each year and see what changes have been made, what additional information staff decides to throw in there, and see where they can sort of test folks and see what they know and what we're able to further educate them on and share. And it's really interesting and fun to hear what questions our residents have. And it helps us just learn how better to share information with them and help them stay informed. So each year we aim to try to diversify the program content and enhance the way that we share. We want it to be engaging, we want it to be thoughtful. So this year there was a little bit of a twist. There was some new content that we've not had previously. Bless you. So this year we had a presentation from Wake County Manager David Ellis on the first night, who was able to share alongside Town Manager Zudema and really sort of delineate those county functions from those municipal functions, because we know there's some differences there. We were also able to incorporate strategic planning as its own segment, really along with financial services for the first time this year. And for the very first time, we were able to incorporate economic development as a department presentation. So some fun new things this year. Really appreciate all of the departments. Appreciate again Wake County Manager Ellis for coming out and joining us. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'll call you by name. Anu will hand out certificates, and again, a gift sort of from us to you for spending your time with us. And then just join us on the platform, and we'll grab a couple of quick photos. Please forgive me if I mispronounce anyone's name. That's certainly not intentional. Narajan Aryal, Marsha Isan. So you need to be on this platform. Yeah, if you want to walk, you may need to walk back around the static seats. Mara Halixer. Susan Juncosa. Samina Kamal Pasha. Harrison Kessling. Maximus Kusharenko. Mahesh Kumar. Yogita Mamidala, Krishna Patel, Banureka Poshampali, Fnu Shashank, Pragyan Shrivas, Karen Taggart, Carla Tirado, and Ray Tirado. All right, thank you again to all of our graduates. Stay put, we'll grab a quick photo of you all, and then we'd love to have council join you for a photo as well.
3, 2, 1. Do one more. 3, 2, 1.
All right, council members, if you would join in behind them as well, please.
You guys all shift this way a little bit and step down one. We'll get right behind you. Find a gap. Nice to see you guys.
Congratulations. 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Drew.
Let's applaud.
Thank you again, and congratulations to all of our graduates. I would be remiss if I didn't take just a moment to say thank you to Anu Mishra, our communications specialist, and to Wendy Liu, our community relations liaison. They really have picked up a large bit of the workload for both Morrisville 101 and Teen 101. And thank you just is not adequate for the words I have for them. So very much appreciate what both of them have done this fall.
And if you guys are willing to gather out in the hallway, put on those t-shirts and get another shot, I think that'd be cute. And send that to us, okay? Thank you very much for spending your time with us to learn about the town. Take care. We're now moving on to item 11, which is public hearings. We have 3 public hearings tonight. We will now hear from Shelley Mayo, Planner 3, on the annexation of 0 Watkins Road, please.
Good evening. This is the parcel that was presented to you last council meeting. There are no updates at this time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And again, it's just the parcel that has the red outline to it. It's not the other ones further to the left.
Appreciate that clarification. Any questions before we declare the public hearing open? Okay, seeing none, I declare the public hearing open. Are there any, well, we'll wait for town clerk to come back to see if anyone signed up. Town Clerk Bertland, anyone signed up for this public hearing?
No one is signed up for this public hearing.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wanted to speak on this public hearing item? For a later one? Okay, thank you. We look forward to hearing from you on that. So in that case, is there a motion and a second to close this public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion from Councilmember Johnson, a second from Councilmember Body. All those in favor of closing this public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. Now we're opening up to discussion on this item. Anyone have anything they'd like to share before I entertain a motion on this item? Okay, I'd entertain a motion and a second on this item.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do we need to read that on the screen?
Yep, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-382-0 of the Morrisville Town Council pertaining to the extension of the Town of Morrisville corporate limits to include property located at 0 Watkins Road ANX-25-0014.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Johnson, a second from Councilmember Rabati. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. Thank you very much. We will now hear from Rachel Seifer, Planner 2, on the annexation of 429 Airport Boulevard.
So this is the same item that y'all heard the last council meeting also for 429 Airport Boulevard, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, any questions on this one before we open the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to, I declare the public hearing open. Town Clerk Bertling, is anyone signed up to speak on this item?
We do have one individual, Subbareddy Madagreddy.
Okay, if you please approach the microphone, you'll have 3 minutes. Please, your name and residential address for the record.
So my name is Subbareddy Madi Reddy, 113 Elm Heaven Way, Morrisville, NC. As part of Airport Boulevard project, we've been hearing, especially myself, I have noticed a couple of the requests as well as complaints, a couple of humble requests from the residents of the Morrisville. And when I watched the news that's been found on the internet as well as on the TV. So on the Planet One, there was a most probably that's the virtual voting has been taken place. That's where there is some communication gap between the residents and how the project is moving forward. Also, in specific to that, is there any chance to recall that, because it was a pandemic scenario? I am fully supportive for the development. I'm not against the development, but let's take a step back, clear out the gaps, vacuums, and make the more successful project so that there are 2 components. One, I want to bring your attention. How can we reduce our taxpayers' money, which is a 40%? I don't remember. I need to do some more homework on it. But how do we cut down our taxpayers' money allocating to that and find the alternative sources to that project? At the same time, clear out some communication gaps why we had this virtual voting in the pandemic scenario on the Planet One. Second one is, this one is, I tried to find more details. It was too early for me. I can come back and I can email more details if I have any more question on this project. But I would request once again, please consider to recall this and call for the re-evaluation on the project one, and how do we cut down find the alternative sources for this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Were there anyone else signed up?
There was no one else.
Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak on this subject? If you please, your name and residential address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes. And then provide your name and address to her in written form, please. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Amy Kraut. I'm an attorney at Smith Anderson. Address is 150 Fayetteville Street, Suite 2300, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm here on behalf of the applicant Duke Energy. Just wanted to note that this annexation is part of a project that you already approved as a special use permit. And a part of that special use permit approved last year, you required that Duke Energy submit this annexation. So pretty standard request. We're happy to answer any questions about that.
I apologize. Thank you very much for bringing that forward from the applicant. Appreciate that. Was there anyone else in the room who would like to speak on this subject? Okay, if it's the will of the council, I'd entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
We have a motion from Councilmember Johnson and
Second.
a second from Councilmember Rabati again. I think that's the tag team that we're working with. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. Any discussion or questions for staff on this item?
So just to be really clear here, all we are doing is bringing this piece of property into the town's corporate limits, because the property is currently outside the corporate limits. So I just made it crystal clear on, for those in attendance tonight and those watching, exactly what council is about to take action on.
That is correct.
Okay, and there's nothing more than that.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'm happy to make a motion.
Okay, I recognize Councilmember Johnson for a motion.
Okay, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-341-0 of the Morrisville Town Council pertaining to the extension of the Town of Morrisville corporate limits to include property located at 429 Airport Boulevard, ANX-0013.
I
Second.
have a motion from Councilmember Johnson, a second from Councilmember Rabati. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. Thank you very much. Moving on to our third public hearing. We will now hear from Tiffany McNeil, Economic Development Director, on an economic incentive grant agreement with Novartis Gene Therapies Incorporated. Ms. McNeil.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Again, tonight I'm presenting the resolution authorizing an economic incentive grant between the Town of Morrisville and Project Titan, now publicly identified as Novartis Gene Therapies Incorporated. Novartis Gene Therapies is a global healthcare company headquartered in Bannockburn, Illinois, with a parent company, Novartis AG, headquartered in Basel, Switzerland. It's known for developing innovative medicines that address a wide range of diseases from cancer and cardiovascular conditions to neurological, autoimmune, and rare disorders. The Town Council, in closed session on August 26, gave permission to enter into incentive negotiations with Project Titan. On November the 19th, proud to say that Novartis announced plans to establish an operation here in Morrisville that will expand national capabilities in the production of solid dosage tablets and capsules, including packaging for key life-saving medicine. The project will be located at 1000 Science Drive on the Pathway Triangle Life Science Campus. I also want to acknowledge King Street Properties, whose visions and investment in the Pathway Triangle campus created the environment that made this project possible. This project delivers significant value to the town, with 100 new full-time jobs within 5 years, an average annual wage of $121,080, which is well above the Wake County average wage of $76,643, and $231 million in new capital investment. This project boosts our town's tax base and also enhances Morrisville's life sciences capacity and supports our strategic plans for economic and workforce enhancement. Based on the company's planned investment, Novartis will be eligible for up to $2.31 million, which is 1% of the capital investment, distributed over 8 annual grant payments of approximately $288,750 per year. This was a coordinated regional effort. This project was also awarded a job development investment grant by the state of North Carolina, and Wake County will also seek support. I want to acknowledge tonight the partners who helped support this project: Matt Lowell, who is with Ryan Consulting Firm, and also John Hohenwater with Novartis Public Affairs is here tonight. I'd like to welcome you to the podium if you'd like to make comments.
Welcome.
I'll be brief, and I won't need the 3 minutes, but I just want to say thank you, and thank you and your staff and all the diligence putting this together. We're very excited about our partnership and our project here in Morrisville, and we're looking for good things to come in the future. So thank you so much.
And I just want to say you have a great staff. We work with a lot of communities around the country, And I haven't met a professional almost as keen and always ready to answer any questions, came always prepared than Tiffany. And Tiffany and Giselle were great partners on this project, and we really appreciate the partnership. Thank you.
We really appreciate hearing that. Thank you very much for joining us.
That concludes my overview.
Okay, any questions for Ms. McNeil before we open the public hearing? Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Town Clerk Bertling, do we have anyone signed up?
No one is signed up.
Is there anyone here in the room who would like to address this body for up to 3 minutes on this subject? Please come forward. Your name and residential address for the record, please, sir.
Yes. So again, my name is Subba Reddy, 113 Elm Heaven Way, Morrisville, NC. I want to thank you for Morrisville for bringing this kind of innovative projects, because we have a lot of universities surrounding us. And I do have a lot of interactive sessions with the youth who are originated from the Morrisville area. And when we connect with them, there are a lot of requests, how can we have the local opportunity here? So if I would request the town council administration to give the first priority for our Morrisville residents youth, and MYLC program also, there is a, if we can bring it up and give them opportunity who are educating in the Wake Tech College as a first priority, because their families need more empowerment. At the same time, we do have the association between the DECA projects going on in the Green Hope Elementary School and high school kids, and they are going to the UNC and the NC State. Please invite them and participate in this kind of a projects. They are our future. And these projects require next generation of mindsets. And I would like to thank you once again, give opportunity for the local talent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room like to address this body? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
Make a motion to close the hearing. Second.
I have a motion once again from Councilmember Johnson and a second from Councilmember Abadi. All those in favor of closing this public hearing, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. Any discussion on this subject or questions for staff or the applicant? I entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, if you just read it off the screen, please, Councilmember Abadi.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2025-408-0, authorizing an economic incentive grant agreement with Novartis Gene Therapies Incorporated.
I have a motion from Councilmember Abadi and a second from
Second.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. Thank you very much for a great partnership. We look forward to it moving forward. Thank you very much. We are now at action items. We have one action item tonight, and we will now hear from Brett Martin, Transportation Project Manager. Mr. Martin.
All right, thank you, Mayor Tully and members of the council. Brett Martin here, Transportation Project Manager with the town. As you probably recall, town staff and our consultant, VHB, covered the results of our alternative transit service study, as well as the recommendations that respond to the results of that study at your November 12th regular meeting. The council had a lot of discussion and provided a good amount of feedback on the direction the town should pursue regarding our public transportation services, which has been noted for next steps to carry out more in-depth implementation planning and eventual delivery of improvements or changes to our current service. At your direction, we will continue discussion about next steps for implementation at your council retreat, should you direct us to do that in January. The requested action for tonight is to adopt the draft resolution accepting the results and recommendations of the Transit Alternatives Evaluation Final Report. Both the final report and draft resolution are included in your agenda packet. I would like to note, though, a few minor updates that were made to both the final report and the presentation slides in your packets, which are highlighted in yellow in both of those documents. One such change was some language That was added to slides 21 and 22 to make it more clear that the recommendation to increase the number of vehicles, and I can actually scroll down. I don't want to go through the entire presentation. There was some clarification, it seemed like, needed on this following up from the last council meeting. So just want to make it clear, we're almost there. All right. So just to make it more clear that the recommendation to increase the number of vehicles and expand the number of nodes for the town's microtransit system may entail slightly longer wait times and travel times and possibly less ride booking availability than with more vehicles in the current service area, but ride booking availability and wait times and travel times would still be better than the existing condition with fewer vehicles operating. So I want to make sure that's clear. And on those two slides there, you see kind of what we made. And then we also made a minor revision to the planning level capital cost and additional nodes. The capital cost of the additional nodes on slide 26. To ensure consistency with the final report, we just increased that amount there. That's highlighted to 180 to 225,000. We also made some minor adjustments to the final report to correct some typos, clarify language, revise capital cost information to ensure consistency, and to provide the results from the spring and fall surveys in the final report appendices. Previously, there was just what the survey looks like, not an actual summary of results, but that's in there now. I will stop there for a moment, though, and also I want to introduce the town's new Senior Transportation Planner, Philip Vereen, who is sitting over here to my right, who has more than 20 years of experience in the transportation planning and administration realm. He comes to us most recently from North Carolina Central University, where he was director of parking and transportation and parking. I don't know which one you dealt with more, or which one you think is more important. But Philip also previously served as North Carolina Department of Transportation's Assistant Director of Public Transportation and has held other local government and transportation-related positions in the city of Winston-Salem and city of Charlotte. We are very excited to have Philip here, and he will be working more closely with the town council on our next steps for public transportation service in due time. So as we move forward to do more, to have more discussion on implementation planning, he will be more involved. So just wanted to make that introduction tonight. Very excited to have him. But don't want to deflect from the action that we're asking for. So again, the requested action tonight is to adopt the resolution accepting the results and recommendations of the study, and I'll take any questions if there are any.
Welcome, Philip. Any questions? I'll recognize Councilmember Scarlett Johnson, please.
Yeah, I don't know where my placard is, sorry, TJ. But thank you. I thought about the entire report after the presentation at our last meeting, and I do appreciate the consideration for the route. I will accept the report with the caveat that we need to do a second pass at that route. It does not demonstrate value. The proposed route in this report will not improve ridership. I don't believe it's going to the right target activities and amenities within the town. We need to rethink the route with the data that we have. And I know that there was an emphasis on, as the route expands to other things, that cost expands. But we can't accept the route that was proposed in this report. It just is not going to give us value. Spending any money on that route, I just think is throwing bad money in it. I'd like to see an alternate proposal on the route so that we can evaluate cost benefit, maybe with a couple different scenarios.
And just to clarify, you're talking about the long range, long-term fixed route. There's two.
Right, the circulator one that's mostly looking at the neighborhoods and so forth that we had some challenges with, I think that one is a no-go. we need to rethink that kind of scenario with looking at node expansion. So you could not calculate, you know, if we didn't have a node that we were proposing within the report, you couldn't calculate a route based on a node that didn't exist. But now that you have more feedback on potential nodes that are needed with additional amenities like the Wake Med facility and, you know, certain other things, we could reevaluate that circulator to add more value to it.
And so you're kind of pointing out the circulator, not necessarily, not the neighborhood, what's identified as the neighborhood line route.
Right, well, I also wanted to consider, you know, because we have a partnership right now with Go Carry, what does that mean as far as funding? Because our borders are right next to Cary and like the Wegmans is technically Morrisville address with the Cary jurisdiction, although it's within that gray zone of border, right? So would our Morrisville shuttle stop at the Wegmans and that shopping center that has a lot of small businesses that have invested, you know, their livelihood in that shopping area?
Okay. Yeah, one of the things to just note about the final report is, so that is a conceptual alignment for a future fixed route that may or may not be supplemented with microtransit. They were actually designed as if they were to be supplemented by microtransit as well, where you have microtransit feeding it. And I don't want to get, you know, tonight into the debate. There's a whole lot more behind the scenes that I think we need to discuss further, particularly on the viability of getting out external funding sources to do some of these things. You know, the biggest funding source we have is, and what we're going to have is the community funding area program. That's a competitive funding source. So it's not something you can just say, well, this is what we want, and if it doesn't show a lot of promise in terms of ridership, productivity, and so forth, it may not get much traction in that realm. So and there's some other guardrails and other things that are important to this discussion that we can, you know, zero in on a little bit more in the retreat.
What I think I'm saying is that route, that circulator route, is not appealing to me, and I'm sure it's not appealing to a majority of the public. So that puts our ridership at risk, and it puts our, you know, time, money, expense, even conceptually. You know, we need to figure out where else to put our thoughts and resources on an alternate plan. And I know it's complex and there's a lot of variables in this, but we, you know, we probably have very few chances to do this expansion. We need to do it organically and in a way that the public supports it. So, and one of the gaps is it cannot be used for employment or reliable appointments, you know, time-sensitive appointments. That includes schools. That includes, you know, specific appointments for doctors. You know, our seniors can't reliably depend on the availability of the shuttle. So even looking at that circulator, I'm not sure that circulator is going to add the value.
So I will say the circulator there were two fixed route options. That circulator is not one of what I would consider a recommended option. And the public, the survey results reveal that, right? So.
Right, but I think we still have more, you know, discussion to go to try to get that sweet spot of value and expanding organically, you know, this shuttle service. It's a great service, but it's just, it can be so much more. And we can provide more stability, I think, to our riders that will increase their engagement with it. And different ages that don't participate now might participate in the future. Thank you. Yes, and I noticed mine.
Yeah, was this plan, you didn't want to hear from us, so.
I'm not sure
Took
why.
our blue cards away.
All the blue cards were over here, but now they're spread out again.
I know I'm on my way out, but still.
Councilmember Fender, followed by Councilmember Rabati, please.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Councilmember Scroggins Johnson and that the predefined or the fixed circular route that doesn't meet the town's needs. My concern is a couple of things. One, that this circular route is in the report, your evaluation, and that if you use this circular route for this survey, it's like you predetermine the outcome. Because of course people this doesn't meet our needs at all, because it doesn't include Breckenridge and Kitts Creek. So my concern, my last day on the town council is December 9th, so I won't be here. However, you know, while I'm still here, I'm gonna say this, that because I've seen it happen in my 6 years being on the council. My concern is these recommendations, this theoretical route makes it into your report. The town council votes on it as that we accept the report. And somewhere down the line, maybe a year from now or 5 years from now, someone is gonna go back to this report and say, well, these are the recommendations in the report and the town council approved it. And it's gonna be already decided for the town. It's gonna look to future council members and future residents like we approve these recommendations. And that is a concern for me, that you, by going with this circular route in your report and with the survey, that you predetermine the outcome of what's favorable or what's recommended. Where from the beginning, this route doesn't meet our needs and is not what residents are gonna want. You left out the two biggest subdivisions in the town. So why would you do that?
Because those are very difficult to serve with fixed route.
So what? So what? Even if it is difficult, even if it's complicated, that doesn't mean you give us something that doesn't meet our needs. Kitts Creek has the highest ridership of, or it's like number one or number two, the highest ridership of all the subdivisions. And between Breckenridge and Kitts Creek, those are the two largest subdivisions in our town. And it's totally not, it's not even included.
And there's a reason for that.
Not a good reason. I mean, you're looking at the data. You're looking at the data rather than what the residents want and what council members are telling you. So it doesn't matter what the data says if the result doesn't meet our needs. That's all I'm saying. You're gonna end up sticking this in the report, we're gonna approve it, and it's gonna be in writing for future council members and for future residents. I have a very big concern about that. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Body, then myself.
I don't know if I can improve on that, but I would like to say that I agree 100% with everything Councilmember Fender just said, and I'm not exactly sure. I thought that there was some reason, I thought the approving the report was a step in a process that would then kick off. Am I thinking of something different?
I'm not sure what your question is.
Okay, then never mind. Okay. Well, then, in that case, I don't understand why we would be approving a report. I thought we made it crystal clear last time we saw this report that it doesn't meet our needs. And, you know, actually, I disagree with one thing that Councilmember Fender said, because I think that the data is clearly showing that Kitts Creek needs to be included in any potential ridership situation, because that's the bulk of people that ride. And Breckenridge, I mean, yeah, I don't understand any public transit plan that leaves out Breckenridge, especially when the senior center is literally at the top of Breckenridge. So in order to service the senior center, you almost have to come into Breckenridge. So I didn't understand that 2 weeks ago. I still don't understand it. And I also am not sure, yeah, I really need to know exactly what voting to accept the report means.
So to answer that, 'cause I understand that question. A study was commissioned, a study was scoped, a study was completed. There were steps that were laid out for what would be done under the scope of the study. Those steps have happened. It has pointed to what you see in the study in terms of the results. The action is to accept the results. You're not taking action to approve any type of recommendation. You're not taking action one way or the other on, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do microtransit, we're going to do these nodes, we're going to add vehicles, we're going to do this fixed route, we're going to do this other fixed route. That's not what this decision is. The study is complete. It's done. The steps that were scoped have been completed. This is what it has led to in terms of what you see in the report.
So was one of the steps not to give us workable recommendations that we can enact? I feel like we might have a requirements problem here or a scoping problem.
If we were to step outside of transit planning conventions, sure. But that's not what was scoped. What was scoped was to look at peers. It was to look at data. It was to do public surveys, which we did. And they gave us results on which we are acting, on which the study is acting. The scope of the study directed what we looked at in the direction that it went. That is very in line with transit planning conventions.
Okay, how are we going to keep this from happening again? Because we have just, I assume, spent a considerable amount of money on a study that hasn't yielded anything that we believe is going to work for our residents. So what, in retrospect, what do you think could have been done differently? You know, should we have done something differently? Would you do something differently in the future? What could be done differently to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
So I don't know that, I can't think of anything, to be honest with you. I don't know. I think one of the questions I have is, what are you looking for? What I do hear from the council is, we need to serve Breckenridge, we need to serve Kit Creek. What I don't hear is anything about the how. And that's the magic of transit, is figuring out the how. And can you do it within a certain financial constraint that works for the council, that works for the town? Can you do it within certain boundaries that are set for the funding sources that you're using? Can you comply with federal law, with Title VI, with the ADA? Those are all considerations that have to play into this. It's not something where you just go out and draw lines on a map and say, okay, here it is. There's a lot more to it than that. And that's what I'm trying to make clear here. And, you know, I've been doing this for years. And I can't think of any other way to approach this other than sitting down with council and saying, okay, draw something on a map that shows us what you want. And we can synthesize what comes together from that and maybe put something a little bit better together. But that's the only thing that I can think of.
Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You had something, Brad?
He was going to be next. If you want to finish your thoughts, it's totally up to you. We'll come back to you after him if you want.
Sure. Yeah,
We'll
I'd
come
like to
back to
hear
you.
what Braden has to say.
Okay. Town Manager Zubel.
Thank you, Mayor. I think another way to look at what Brett is explaining is that this study was put out, again, to look at what could be alternative methods, because what we've heard is that you're not happy with the way the Smart Shuttle is functioning as opposed to what some of the needs of the community may be. You know, the Smart Shuttle was instituted to provide a service, and it provides that service, but it doesn't provide what other people are now identifying as additional services that might be helpful to their certain situation, which is very understandable. So you commissioned this study so that you would be able to be informed about what alternative methods could be considered. I think to Brett's point, it wasn't to bring you the absolute best point is to do this. It was to show you what does it look like to expand the Smart Shuttle versus what does it look like to go with fixed route versus what does it look like to stay with Smart Shuttle but use vans and add spot and things like that. So it was to give you some look into, and to some extent what the data shows about the way that could work. And I think what he's sharing with you is that professionally transit operates in a certain way. Understanding completely that you want to serve Kitts Creek and that you want to serve Breckenridge, the two largest neighborhoods. I think that's the next logical step in this conversation. We already have time set aside for this for a couple of hours at the retreat to be able to discuss this with Brett and the team as far as what you are looking for, and then allow him to use that to gauge what's possible and what's practical within the scope of what fixed route transit looks like. So this is not intended to say you should do this. It was more intended to say this is how this could look, as opposed to what the Smart Shuttle might look like or the Smart Shuttle expanded might look like. So when you accept this study, you're simply accepting that a study was completed that demonstrates what these different options could look like in Morrisville and how they compare to what you would like to see it accomplish. So along those lines, I think if it would bring greater comfort to council, what you could consider is we could modify the motion, and it could be a motion that accepts the report with the understanding that there will be further discussion, particularly related to what those fixed routes could be in the future.
But it's not clear to me that we've decided that fixed routes is the best option for us.
Correct. It's an option for the future. I think there's an initial recommendation that talks about expanding the Smart Shuttle, and then there's a longer-term recommendation that a fixed route could work. So that's the other thing, is there's no decisions being made here. This is information for you to now use as we go forward, and as Brett and the team hear more from you about what you are interested in, how it could work, get more reaction to maybe some of the weeds of the study, and then use that to help bring you back what those options might look like and what an actual plan might be proposed that would then be discussed in terms of funding and timeline and things like that.
So it might be better to, this might already be in there. Is there a next steps at the end? Because if there was, I think that the next steps being the further discussion of transit at retreat and further discussion of transit during budget cycle. And, I think that having next steps in the report would make it clear that the recommendations have not been necessarily, the report has been accepted, the recommendations are still under discussion.
And I think, respectfully, I think the way to do that might be better through your resolution, keeping in mind that the study wasn't intended to walk you all the way through those next steps. That's what the staff will guide you through and lead you through as to how you might implement some of what you've learned about in the study. That just wasn't what was scoped in that study.
So there are short-term recommendations, there are long-term recommendations in there. And you can look at it as next steps. There's a proposed implementation plan in there. But it's not specific. It's not incredibly specific about, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. It's also meant to be illustrative. So, a study was commissioned, the study's been done. There's still decisions that need to be made and discussions that need to be had about, well, where are we going next? What does this exactly look like? What is it doing for the residents? Is it going to meet the qualifications of the funding sources that we're pursuing and that we need to rely on to fund some of this? Those sorts of things.
Could we amend the resolution so that we're agreeing that the study has been completed without accepting the recommendations in the report?
You can. It's your resolution. You can certainly do that.
Okay, don't say it on my account. We'd all have to agree to it, but I'm just saying that I'm really sensitive to Donna's point because I've been bit by this before. So before you even got here. So I think that I'm perfectly happy to say that the study as scoped has been concluded. I'll sign off on that. But I don't necessarily want to vote to accept the results and recommendations of the Transit Alternatives Evaluation Final Report because I agree with neither the results nor the recommendations. Thank you.
I'm next, and then Councilmember Rao. I was hoping that it would be okay to just strike "and recommendations," because the results are just the results. They're not anything. But I think that this will lead to really good discussions in the retreat. I think I recall starting this whole discussion about transit with like the pipe cleaner exercise tabletop. So now that we have so much data about where the hot spots are, where people want to go, I think that would be helpful. Just for consideration of staff as you walk us through and facilitate the retreat. That might be a good way to do it. I've been in lots of different tabletop exercises where you'll only have a limited number because of the financial constraints as well. So that would be just one way to sort of get us all together about where we want to be. Obviously, we want to be able to get all the way to Breckenridge and Kipps Creek, but that might be served by the SMART shuttle as it exists, and the fixed route might be shorter, or the fixed route might go the whole way. So that's something we all need to decide as a group. So that's just what I want to share about that. So I'm happy to accept the results. I think striking the end recommendations might be acceptable to everybody, but we'll see after we hear from the rest of the group. So we're going to go through all 7, and then some people want to chime in again. So I'm capturing that as well. So Councilmember Rao, followed by Councilmember Garamella, then Johnson, please.
Yeah, I think, striking recommendations, just think accepting results is fine with me, because I was under the impression that just accepting the results doesn't stop the town in the future for looking for new plans. Plans evolve and change. And obviously, I think that I agree with my colleagues on the council that have said that we have to expand service to these larger communities like Kipps Creek and Breckenridge, but that's gonna take more dollars, more resources to invest, which might be something that future councils can address. I also think that my concern has always been the frequency of service. We have to make sure that whatever transit that we use in any town would be able, that we can rely on it, that we know I'm gonna go and I want to go to Breckenridge or I want to go to Kipps Creek, but the reason most of us just get in the car is, I'm just gonna go in the car because I know I can just get there in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So I'm fine with that. I just want to, so basically what I'm asking is that any acceptance of this doesn't preclude, plans changing. Future council goes into retreat, they say, we want to do something different, so this is just accepting the results.
Right, that's exactly right. And actually, the town did the same thing in 2019 with a public transportation study that was done then that ultimately led to the node-based microtransit system. You accepted the results of the study and from there continued to work through what you wanted in terms of the start of the town commission public transportation service when it was put out on the street. So
I would also like to see the second addition to that was just that, senior community of Morrisville. I've got, going to like different places like Briar Point, Preston Point. Where, how are we making sure that we're providing better and more reliable service to that community, so that they don't have to drive in the car and they can just go back and forth. So that's just, something that I've been hearing. I've gotten requests about Briar Point wanting to move it right across from the street, and, I think they would like to use this more, but they don't feel comfortable walking distances or walking across roads to get it. So I think from a perspective that we can look at the safety features of that would be good as well for future stops.
Mayor Pro Tem Garamella, followed by Councilmember Johnson, please.
I think, Brent, there's a lot getting said, but I think fundamentally there is a little bit of disconnect. When I mean that is from your point of view, you're saying the technicality of having the studies done over years and years, and you know how things work. From where we said, when we did the first evaluation, we said, let's connect neighborhoods, let's connect, the seniors, let's connect the temples. And that was the mindset that we had about the coverage. So that's the reason I see like a lot of people here, talking about why are we changing, and where, you keep saying from funding point of view of how the transportation does, we will not get whatever the funding pattern is. I think this is something good on a retreat to educate us, to say how your thought process is of how things work versus how this has been put in place, because there's a total disconnect. If you look at our smart shuttle, we are just trying to improve on top of it. But fundamentally taking it out, from how it is rated or, for the funding point of view, there's some disconnect here, and that's where I think everyone is kind of a little struggling around it. But I think, I'm not the expert, but I think a conversation to educate us on the retreat is what matters.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson, please.
So I'll start off where Councilmember or Mayor Pro Tem Garamella ended. At the last meeting, we talked, I think we all had a little bit of heartburn and decided much more discussion needed to happen. And you all and the town manager made this a really important item on our retreat agenda, which I think is the start of clarifying where we're at, where we want to go, and we moving forward. So that is a discussion that you all know is important because you made it onto the agenda for retreat. So I appreciate that. I guess I want to take a minute to talk about the resolution. There are lots of whereases, and the whereases are just kind of background. The most important part of a resolution comes at the end, which comes at the now therefore. And if you read this resolution, the now therefore paragraph is written correctly based on council's concerns and comments from 2 weeks ago and continued concerns and comments. The now therefore does say we accept this study. So maybe going back to the title doesn't reflect that. The title kind of goes a step further and says not only do we accept the report, but it almost sounds like we're also accepting the recommendations, which doesn't kind of sync up with the now therefore. So the resolution itself is great. The title is a little, either needs to be shortened or added onto, but then I think for me, that would be, I would be able to move forward tonight with the resolution. So maybe that's it's clear we need to have further discussion. It's clear we're not in agreement. I don't think anybody is in agreement with the options. So, I mean, that part is, we'll continue discussions, but maybe what we need to talk about right now to kind of wrap this one up and be done with it so we can move forward at the retreat and have a real detailed conversation. Maybe what we should decide then is what the actual wording on the motion is and the title of this resolution that we're all comfortable with. And for me, again, comfortable with taking out the word recommendations. But we could also add on, we want to, with the understanding that we want further discussion before any action statement. I mean, you could add that if you want.
Okay, thank you very much. All 7 of us have had a chance, and I'd like to acknowledge the Town Manager Zuderman once again, and then we'll start a second round.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. You can make an excellent point. I think we can simplify that title. I would also draw your attention to the last whereas statement that reads that the town council may decide whether or not to implement the service recommendations in the alternative report, as well as when the recommendations may be implemented. So I think that, and then now therefore, if you would consider accepting the resolution where we would remove the words, the results and recommendations of, to where it would just read Resolution 2025-389-0 of the Morrisville Town Council, accepting the Transit Alternatives Evaluation Final Report.
So that would be striking the results and the recommendations and just accepting the report.
I think that meets our needs, and I think that better meets what you've shared with us.
Okay, I'll let everyone go ahead and have their turns, and then we'll do a thumbs up or see where we're at. After we hear from Councilmember Fender, Scroggins Johnson, and then Rabati, please.
Okay, I hear what Town Manager Zuma is saying. However, I guess there's, if I can bring it back up again, one item in the report I still take issue with. I had it up here in front of me because I was reading it, is so on page 21 where it talks about the fixed routes considered.
Is that in the report or the slides?
Report.
In the report.
It's page 21, but in the report, but sheet 22 out of 74. It says, talks about the it says 10 potential fixed routes were considered and 2 were selected. And then it talks about the neighborhood loop is considered because it serves all major destinations. I take issue with that statement because the neighborhood loop does not include the senior center, and it doesn't include Breckenridge or Kitts Creek. So I don't think that statement in the report is valid. And I'd be interested to know what the 8 other fixed routes were and why they were not considered. I see you have the list here, the reasons: limited service coverage, poor reliability, excessive travel time, duplication of existing routes, or low ridership. And the only item in there that would characterize a neighborhood route that included going through Breckenridge, potentially down Little Drive and over to Kit Creek Road would be the excessive travel time. But it would meet the other criteria of service coverage. It does not have poor reliability, duplication of existing routes, or low ridership, and we know that from the data. So I'm just voicing my concern right now with that paragraph so that it's on record.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, followed by Councilmember Rabati.
Thank you, Councilmember Fender. I think you raised an excellent point. After hearing from the other council members, I've come to the realization that this report is not ready to be approved tonight. There has to be some modifications in order for me to feel comfortable. In some places, it's incomplete, like some of the 8 options, even though the report includes the strongest options, it doesn't include all the options. I think that more information is needed to not only share with the council, but the public at large. And I just think that we cannot resolution a solution to a report that is not reflecting what we believe is the best information to share with the public. This document is going to be standalone. Although there's a resolution linked to it, people are not going to be able to search and all this if they want to search on this study. This study has to be Correct. It has to be complete. It has to be clear on the data collected and the assumptions and the outcomes. I think there's a lot of question about clarity and completeness right now that will need some modification before that can be a truly standalone document. And so at this time, I think we need to not accept the study. We need to have a second version that is more complete. Of course, this is a retreat topic, but I'm very concerned that this document is going to be used out of context because the resolution, although technically it would cure the inconsistencies, it's not fixing this report. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Councilmember Rabani, please.
I just wanted to say that I feel that I didn't make it clear in my earlier comments that I very much appreciate your hard work on this, with this study and the compilation of the results and your expertise. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Okay, so before getting to a motion, I think maybe a kind of a thumbs up straw poll about whether or not we're able to go ahead and accept as recommended by the town manager. Can we go ahead and bring up that adoption language so you can actually see it? And we'll just be striking end results and recommendations. Because I think that if we don't accept it, we just go into the retreat anyway. We're going to be doing this work. I don't think editing this report is going to really change where we're at. I think I meant the big, just short sentence. That's just the adoption that was up before. Yes. So is the council, just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, willing to adopt a motion to adopt resolution 2025-389-0, accepting the transit alternatives evaluation final report at this time? Okay, just thumbs up or thumbs down so we can, so we got 2 no, 3 no. Councilmember Pro Tem Caramello, where are we? You're down, and Councilmember Johnson? Is that enough? Okay.
Yes.
So it's 3 up and 4 down. So at this time, what's best, to not even to table it, or to have a motion to, what would be your suggestion at this time, sir?
So we can table it. It'll be tabled until January 13th, which will mean that there may or may not be a discussion at retreat, depending on what comes out of that January 13th meeting. The more detail we could have from you as to what the shortcomings or what the expectations are to be changed in this, again, with the understanding that this was done, by our staff in combination with a consultant to share findings with you. You can certainly disagree with the findings, but I caution us as to going back and changing a study that's been completed by a consultant that then I would assume they may take their name off of because it's not going to reflect what they presented to us, which you can certainly do. But we're going to need some direct, feedback on what needs to be changed in the document, or we could take the time at the retreat to finish this discussion about where you are with this study and what the next steps are.
I would just say this is just data. It's like kind of rejecting data
But
rather
it's
than,
not valid data.
but it's just data that can be used to
You're
make
speaking
decisions.
for the rest of us
I'm
when
speaking
you
just
say
for-
those couple of statements.
This is just my personal opinion.
You said that, changing or tabling, you mentioned that it's not gonna change the report, but that's what Councilmember Scroggins Johnson and I are suggesting. I'm taking issue with at least one whole paragraph in there. I don't believe it's valid. So for me, I don't want to accept this report because, like Councilmember Scroggins Johnson said, you know, in the future, people are just gonna see the report. They're not gonna see the resolution that we made with the report. That'll never happen. We don't, I like what she said about we're not gonna solution with a resolution.
Right.
The report needs to be factually correct. And, you know, I take issue with saying, you know, well, the consultant did this. I mean, we're all professionals on this council. We're not stupid. I mean, we've got 2 engineers, project managers. We're not dumb. And I think throughout this whole process, I feel like we're not being listened to. And that we're getting pressure that, oh, we paid this consultant, that means we need to approve this. But we paid the consultant. They should be listening to us, and we should be, I mean, we're the customer. So what the end result is, we should be happy with it.
So to that end, I think that maybe in the future, we might have a larger scope, in that after this discussion, the consultant would come back with something different, an adjusted report. So that wasn't the case this time. So that would just be a thought. I'd like to recognize Planning Director Stiegel at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. I just want to assure you that we are listening to council. We have heard council. There was a lot of good discussion at the last meeting. We threw a lot of information at you. You had a good, almost 2-hour-long discussion. We regrouped the next morning, went through a lot of that. And I will tell you, Brett is listening to you. He took the initiative of immediately contacting the consultant and talking to them about their contract is set to end at the end of the year. Currently, we're under budget. Can we do an amendment in case council wants to run additional models, wants to look at additional routes? So he has initiated that discussion with the consultant already based on a lot of the conversation and feedback that we got from you at the last meeting. So I just do want to assure you that Brett is listening to you, staff is listening to you, and we're anticipating a lot of good additional discussion around this at retreat.
Your things on? Councilmember Abadi, please, and then I have something to respond to that.
Yeah, so I feel like you kind of buried the lead there. Is the consultant willing to come back and make changes based on our feedback? Because if so, then that problem's solved, isn't it?
Yes, well, the consultant works for the town, and there's a scope of work, and yeah, there's, as Michelle mentioned, there's budget left. There's some additional things you want to see that we can do, yes. I will say, though, so this is not, what I'm trying to understand is, do you want the report to say what you want, where you want things to land, or do you want the report to actually follow transit planning conventions that study the things that are typically studied when communities ask this question and you get those results? Because I think there might be a disconnect. That's why I am a little confused there. Do you want the report to say just what you want the report to say, or do you want to actually follow the transit planning process?
Well, obviously, I can speak for the whole council, but I want the report to, if I engage a consultant to study a problem, I want some solutions to that problem that are going to work for the town. Like, I want recommendations that are going to, like, when we got the cricket people in and asked them for recommendations, they didn't come in and say bulldoze town hall and put in a cricket field. They gave us recommendations that would work for the town and that, that we could implement in the future, right? And I feel like, I don't know how else to say that I don't care about transit planning conventions as much as I care about, I feel like they kind of missed a step at the end there where they took all the data that they had collected, which I'm sure is valid as far as it goes, but they didn't turn that into recommendations that are realistic for us. So I can't question the value of the entire process if that didn't happen. They're the experts, I'm not an expert.
I think they gave you, the scope of work that was laid out for this is pretty standard. Plenty of other communities do it, follow the same process. They gave you the results of what was scoped. They were not scoped to go any further into really, really hardcore implementation planning. That's another step. That's a next step. But what we need to get from the council is, where do you want to go conceptually? We have to settle on something conceptually before you do the work of
Give me a
laying
map,
out.
I'll draw it for you.
Yeah, what I would love to see, like, a map, like, sit down and draw on a map how you think everything should be connected. That's an exercise that I would really like to see.
Give me one and I'll do it. I wish you'd asked us sooner. Sorry, Ann.
That's, so, I mean, I'm not in the same field, but in my field, implementation planning starts when we have a recommendation that we agree is directionally correct. But we don't have that here. We don't have a recommendation that's directionally correct that we feel will work for the town. So,
But that's where I'm confused. I don't know what you think is directionally correct. That's the confusion. And I think the consultant is there as well. Like, we hear a lot, kind of the way what I have been hearing with the discussion we've had over the course of the last two meetings is, we'll know it when we see it, has kind of been what I've heard. I haven't heard, we want this, let me draw it for you, let's do this, oh, that's right, it can stay within this financial constraint. We're not getting that information from council. The vibe I'm getting from council is, we'll know it when we see it. And that's hard to work with.
so that's not my vibe. If that's my vibe, then I haven't been clear enough. Because my vibe is, when people in town are able to connect to amenities and services that are the key ones of the town, that we've invested a lot of time and money into making available to them, then that is a plan that I'm going to be happy with. But right now, I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I mean, what percentage of the people in Morrisville live in Breckenridge and Kitts Creek? We have 1,100 homes in Breckenridge. Like, that's a lot of people. So, I mean, I'm saying, like, quite a bit, right? So what I'm looking for is, when I say what will work for the town, I mean that people in the town, especially elderly people, kids, can have reliable transportation to the amenities and the services that we've created for them, and to businesses in the town that are important. So that's what I want. I wasn't ever asked for requirements for this study. If I had been, I'd have said that absolutely up front, you know? So maybe that's the problem. Maybe we didn't start with requirements for, you know, maybe like there's a certain process, and maybe the requirements there are assumed. And I was not aware of what those were. But I have requirements for transit studies that I expect to be fulfilled when I see the final product. Thank you.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, please.
So I'd like to build on what Councilmember Rabati said. I thought the last time we met, when you presented the full report, that there was some update that would be occurring based on the feedback that we provided. And I did not see a lot of changes or clarifications and such like that. I mean, the report is very long and very comprehensive, and, you know, it's following, you know, the professional way of presenting the report. However, I believe that where we might have had some assumptions that were not clear enough were in the requirements phase. Sometimes we don't always, we would have a conversation about our shuttle for years, and we've been refining the nodes, and we've been reviewing the response times, and we've been looking at coverage, and we've been looking at ridership. But have we really taken that step and said, okay, what's broken, reliability, and what do you want to see, like, on a map or whatever? I don't think we truly had a clean piece of paper or concept board and just kind of sat with the council saying, okay, you know what you know, what do you think would be good? Because our map is really squiggly, and the road system is very fixed, and it's complicated. We don't have a lot of good roads network yet. We're still working out our road expansions and so forth, so we are limited on time and mobility and so forth, and I understand that. But we gave a reaction to the report, and yet it seems like there needs to be a little bit more refinement, not to make it what we were saying, because we don't have the professional expertise, but to understand our requirements a little bit better and to bring those requirements up through a little bit more. We do want reliability. We do want coverage. I think coverage was something that everybody said both this week and last week.
Yeah, I think one thing that might be getting lost though too, I appreciate that, and I think that's very clear. So the report does not recommend fixed route. It does not. And what's at odds when you're dealing with the node-based system that we have now, and the recommendation to expand the nodes and fixed route is, fixed route can provide better reliability, okay? But what you're giving up is access coverage, right, throughout the town. Unless you have another fixed route, unless you have multiple fixed route. Well, when you talk about multiple fixed route, you're talking about $3 million. And I don't know, you know, one of the things I tried to keep in mind with this study is there's a financial constraint. There's a certain appetite that the council is going to have for funding public transportation. And then, you know, that probably would be capped somewhere. So there's plenty of things we can do to get at what you're getting at. It's just, I'll just go ahead and say it's going to be expensive. And we have no problem showing that. We can show that. I can take that financial constraint cap off and lay that out and maybe approach it from the perspective of, okay, well, this might get at what you want, and maybe if you're comfortable paying for that, great. If not, then here's how we can hack away at pieces of it to get to something that's still acceptable. That might be a good way to approach it, rather than the way we really approach the study, which is from the ground up. So.
No, that's very helpful. See, you know, it's this kind of dialogue of understanding how we can best communicate. And, you know, from my perspective, I might be using words or phrases or, you know, in a way that might not make as much sense to transportation professionals. But I do think that the shuttle is a vital part of our mobility solution, and we can improve it. It's just understanding the trade-offs will make us all feel comfortable, especially with the public buy-in. You know, knowing that, hey, we have this perfect shuttle for $20 million and no one will buy that. We both know that. But to say this is what you wanted and to make it very clear to everybody, I think is helpful. It really is helpful. Thank you.
So I'm next then, Councilmember Johnson. Essentially, I see this as information. Our toolbox is a little expanded now. Now we understand fixed route a little bit more, whether or not it can be a hybrid. I think we mostly came to consensus last time, understanding that just adding some more vehicles and switching them to vans instead of buses is probably the logical next step in the small steps that we're doing in the first 3 years. I don't really see a whole lot of things that we're going to be able to get done before the retreat. So I think the retreat is where we can really dig in and see if there's an appetite for doing a lot more or not. But I think that the ratcheted small steps are probably where we're going to end up. So I'd like to, if possible, to sort of wrap this up as much as we can. And I'll need some advice from the rest of the council if we just want to table this till later, not really expecting much else to happen, other than maybe if the consultant still has money, if we can maybe postpone that until later into next year, next calendar year, then they could have the info that they gathered from the retreat, from those discussions, because what they would take from what we've already done and changed this report, I don't know if that's going to really move us forward very much. So that's just some thoughts on that. But let's go ahead and try to wrap up if we can. Councilmember Johnson, I think Councilmember Fender might want to go again.
So I agree. I'm going to repeat again. I'm okay with accepting the final report because we're going to have even more. We've already had an hour discussion tonight. We had 2 hours or whatever it was 2 weeks ago, and then we're going to have a couple more hours at retreat. But I'm good with moving forward and ending this piece because I'm not sure what more is going to change with the report. But I also just want to be really clear, we were involved, council was involved in creating criteria for this report. Staff and the consultant came to us and asked us what was important to us, and we did give that feedback. So I want to be crystal clear on that. We all were a part of this, and council was a part of this early on too. Knowing full well we don't like the results. I'm not disputing that, but I want to be clear. We were a part of this from the beginning. So, thank you.
Councilmember Fender?
Yeah, just a quick clarification. So you mentioned we're not telling you what we want, but I think we are. We've said that Breckenridge, the Senior Center, and Kids Creek need to be included in the neighborhood route. We talked about that during the last presentation as well. I mean, the first time I saw that neighborhood loop was 2 weeks ago, and I just assumed that, wrongly, obviously, I just assumed that any loop through the town would have included Kids Creek and Breckenridge. So I was a bit surprised to see that loop did not. So,
I think I'm reading you loud and clear on that. I think part of the issue is fixed route is not recommended. If the council would like to recommend fixed route, then that certainly makes sense. We want to look at that. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to understand next steps. Where do we want to go? And then there's the short term and then there's the long term. And I don't even think we've settled on that yet. So that's kind of the challenge here. So with microtransit, we can look at having additional nodes at Kids Creek, Breckenridge.
we know that.
Yeah.
I guess, but you're saying, yeah, fixed route's not recommended. However, I think the concern is you're documenting a neighborhood loop in your report that is not, and then saying in the future we could go to fixed route. So you're documenting this neighborhood loop that's, for most of us, not acceptable to begin with. So to have that in the report and have it written out like that is what I wouldn't want to see, even if it's not the first choice in your report. And last time you talked about, like, in the future, long term, go to the neighborhood loop potentially, but what you've documented in the report is something we don't even want to see.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
we can put a more expensive fixed route that provides more broader access to those. That totally can do that. I mean, I think part of the reason you're not seeing what you want to see is because of that financial constraint cap.
But then let us make that decision. By you leaving that out, you filtered it out on your own, whereas council is in charge of the budget and let them make the decision.
Yeah, I mean, that's, we could do that, yeah.
Yep, that was a choice, and just the fact that it's in the report doesn't mean that future councils are locked into that one fixed route for neighborhood, because I think, like, we want to change
TJ,
that.
that's what Ann and I have been saying, and
Yep.
Vicky, and
No, I hear you.
it's a valid concern because that does happen,
And then future councils need to push back on it a little bit.
but they won't because there's not gonna, we won't be here, the resolution's not gonna mean anything. And
I
it
understand.
will be in stone, essentially, what was in the report.
I hear you.
Does anybody have anything to say that's new?
No, but I had an issue with TJ undermining what we just said,
I don't mean to undermine anything,
but you did.
okay? Unless something is changed, I don't think we have 4 votes to support accepting this at this time. Would it be proper for us to table it until a set date, town attorney, or just indefinitely? Does it have to be to a set date?
That is certainly an option. Push it out to another day, let council review it at that time.
Would the town manager like to suggest a date?
I think at this point, the retreat makes the most sense.
Okay, so that would be January 23rd.
So
I'd
can I
entertain
make a
motion.
suggestion that we not do it at the retreat, but if it's going to be, I mean, we're going to talk about this at retreat. I'm not disputing that. I welcome that. But any kind of motion to actually accept the report, make it then the Tuesday when we get back after retreat.
Yes, we would not ask you to take any action at the retreat. It would be a furtherance of this discussion, so we could, I think, get consensus around what, if anything, does need to be done with this report. And that's related to, but separate from, next steps in what do you want to do with, transit in town.
Yeah, just want to make sure there's enough time from following up from the retreat to make changes, to do some, to put together something that, so just want to think about that.
So February 24th would be the second meeting afterward that? And we can always grab it sooner, if appropriate.
Yeah, I think for tonight, I would recommend just furthering it until tabling it till January 23rd, depending on what that discussion turns into. We'll certainly bring something back as soon as it's practical.
Okay, not expecting an action, just more discussion on the 23rd. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to table this discussion until January 23rd. Motion from Councilmember Rabati, a second from
Second.
Councilmember Fender. All those in favor of tabling this item, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously. Thank you very much to the consultants and to our staff for a lot of hard work. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you. Good discussion.
Good discussion. Okay, we are scheduled for a break starting at 7:45, so we're a little behind that. So let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break at this time, please, and reconvene at 8:20. Thank you. Great, we have one new item tonight. We'll now hear from Brittany Johnson, Planning Manager. Ms. Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to bring before you all a presentation surrounding icon selection. I do have a lot of information for you all tonight, so if you want to hold all questions to the end, that would be appreciated. For a little black background, the mural program was introduced in the Planning Department's 2021-2024 Business Strategy Plan. The pilot mural program was the first phase of the Morrisville Public Art Program. The first round of murals installation took place in the summer of 2024. On January 28, 2025, Town Council selected the ICON Initiative, which are prefabricated, paintable, fiberglass animals and sculptures, as the second initiative to the Public Art Plan. Following Town Council selection, the Public Art Committee, composed of staff in planning, Public Works, Communications, Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources departments, have completed further research regarding the proposed program process, completed public engagement, design and application and approval process, and conducted budget and cost analysis. As a reminder, here are some examples of icons. Again, they are prefabricated, paintable, fiberglass animals, and sculptures. They are unique sculptures that will represent Morrisville and will be placed along greenways and in public gathering spaces. A little on process and timing. Again, on January 28th, staff presented the proposed public art initiatives and Town Council selected this initiative. On May 27th, an administrative update was shared with Council outlining the proposed project timeline, public engagement strategies, and artist selection. Here's a little on the ICON Initiative flowchart, which just itemizes the steps. So our first step was public engagement that consisted of social media and in-person outreach. This took place from June to September. I will provide further details on an upcoming slide. Our second step will be icon fabrication. This is our current step, and this will take place from December to March. Our main objectives are to select the icons, select the manufacturer, select the details, design details, complete a contract and do execution, and then also complete and select our locations for installation. Our third step will be artist selection. This will take place from February to March. Artist applications will be released. Applications and designs will be reviewed by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Advisory Committee. And lastly, Town Council will select the final designs and locations. Our step 4 is icon installation. This will take place from May to July, and this will entail final site selection based on the design, as well as site preparation and icon installation. And lastly is our 5th and final step, which will be our process evaluation. This will take place from August to September. This will evaluate the alignment of this process with the forthcoming public art plan. So like I said, as previously mentioned, step 1 was public engagement. Staff conducted social media and in-person engagement. Social media, we introduced the project and solicited feedback. In-person outreach was also took place at 4 town events. That was Music in the Park Pride, Music in the Park Juneteenth, July 3rd, and Morrisville. Here are just a few photos from those engagement efforts, some of the online engagement as well as in person. Again, this consisted of social media outreach, which included introducing the project and soliciting feedback from our social media platforms. Our in-person engagement efforts, again, Music in the Park, Pride, and Juneteenth. At these 2 events, we used large chalkboards to ask residents to provide icon suggestions. Some residents provided suggestions, while others placed check marks beside existing entries provided by other residents. For our July 3rd event, we by that point, we had selected our top 8 had been derived by prior engagement. And then by Morrisville, we had our top 4 had been derived. So a little on our results. So based on public engagement, by July 3rd, again, the top eight icon options have been derived. Those top 8 selections were airplane, squirrel, bumblebee, cricket, peacock, butterfly, dragonfly, and rabbit. We did receive over 157 votes. And then by the culmination of that event, by Morrisville, we had our top 4, and those were peacock, butterfly, dragonfly, and rabbit, and we did receive over 236 votes. So a little bit more on our results. So our top 3 results would be dragonfly, peacock, and butterfly. A little more on these results. So for the dragonfly, it received 50 votes. There are, wanted to bring some possible significance associated with the dragonfly for you all to consider. They are associated with transformation and new beginnings, joy, light, wisdom, adaptability, good luck and prosperity, as well as emotional maturity. In some cultures, dragonflies hold significance for change and transformation, happiness, and purity. As well as for the peacock, received 81 votes. This was the icon that received the most votes overall. Possible significance associated with peacocks are beauty, divinity, royalty, power, immortality, watchfulness, pride. And also in Indian culture, the peacock symbolizes beauty and grace, and is also associated with several Hindu deities. The last option would be the butterfly, and that received over 66 votes. And the possible significance for a butterfly would be longevity, love, freedom, resilience, life, beauty, and some cultures believe that they are bringers of good fortune and good luck. So for our next steps, once the icon is selected, a fabricator will be selected and design and fabrication will commence. The review party for this will have the opportunity to evaluate computer-generated 3D drawings and drafts and provide feedback as well. This will, before the final pass is created, the final features for the icon will be solidified. That will be if the icon will be standing, if it's sitting, if the wings or feathers will be up or down, as well as final height and width. We'll look at things like texture and also evaluate site and specific and design specific details for budget and cost. I did want to also note that the Icon Initiative was awarded an Arts for Towns grant by United Arts in the total of $3,945. So we were excited to receive that. Next step continues here. Once the icon is selected, installation locations will be selected, and that's 4 to 5 locations to start. And this will be based on the final sizing. We're looking at areas along greenways and public gathering spaces. Some possible locations identified thus far would be Town Center once completed, Morrisville Community Park, Church Street Park, the Dog Park, Cedar Fork District Park, Indian Creek Trailhead, and the fire station at Harris Mill. After the icon is selected, artists will also be selected for the first round of installation. It is proposed that the applications and designs will be reviewed by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Advisory Committee. Town Council will then select the final design to prioritize design installation. Following the first round, the review process is anticipated to be completed by Parks and Recs or a third party that is selected by a forthcoming public art plan. So getting to the good part here, to our discussion. So I do have 3 questions for you all tonight. We will be taking them one by one, but at this point, do you all have any questions for me before we get into the questions that I have?
I have a quick question. So all 5 of them, they'll all be identical to each other, like the same posture and colors?
So they will be the same posture as far as the sculpture themselves, but when the artists are submitting their applications, they will be applying the colors and treatment that is specific to their design. So each of them will look very different.
But the final ones that we actually purchase and install will all be
Will all be the
identical?
same. Yes, they'll be, the actual base sculpture will be the same.
And the same colors?
No, they won't be, they won't have any color to them. They'll be a cast, I think it's white once they're completed, and the artist will be able to paint them and affix them to be unique.
Okay, because I think of this as like Durham has the bowls all over town, and they're all different.
Right.
Things like that. Okay, that was my question. Thank you. I wasn't sure if it's you or Councilmember Body, so we'll go with Councilmember Scarlett Johnson first.
So I just wanted to get some clarification. If we select one of the icons and you have 4 or 5 of them, wouldn't it make sense to have a little bit of different pose for the different, locations? So one you have like a standing pose or, it depends on what we select, of course, but I think it would be interesting, but maybe more expensive if we had the same kind of icon, but in a little different, pose of some sort to make it interesting. So when you're taking a picture or you're referring to it, you'll say it's the blue one, or and you'll know that is Morrisville Community Park. So there's a little bit of identity as well as excitement if there's a different icon pose, and I'm probably not using the right word, but so that people want to go around the town and go to each one of these locations because it's a little different.
Right. I think that part of what you said was cost consideration. There was cost analysis completed, and so looking at the proposed fabricators that we have now, each unique icon would be around $8,000 to $10,000 for the unique cast, and then that would be owned by the town. There could be possible future opportunities to say that, this round, all of them will have this particular stature, and then maybe in a future round, understanding that initial overhead cost would be associated with each different type or statue associated with the posing. So that would just be an additional cost consideration moving forward. I will say that when we were doing research on other cities and communities, if you think about New Bern, they have their bears. They have 2 bears. There's one that is on all 4 legs, and then one is standing. So I do think that it would probably be best to have, a limitation to how many different poses. But certainly for the first round, it would be best to have it consistent and have one pose, understanding that each of them will be decorated completely different, and will have a really unique stance from that standpoint, but understanding the stature will be consistent.
Yeah, I think we need to have differences so that you have a sense of place and you can easily identify which of the icons you're at. So, thank you.
Where I've seen this implemented in Durham, as TJ said, but also in Berlin, where they have the bears from the Olympics, they're identical. But they're all decorated so differently that it makes you want to run around and get a picture with each one anyway, because they're so different and they're so cool. But that wasn't my question. So I love a peacock, and I voted for the peacock more than once, but I wasn't aware that there was a Hindu religious significance to the peacock. So I just want to make sure that we get some guidance on that. I don't want to do anything offensive. Like, I don't necessarily want a statue of Jesus on the greenway. So I just want to make sure that we tread carefully where there's potential religious significance.
Right, and we did consult the county attorney. We anticipated that may be a concern. I'm not sure if you would like to speak to that.
I think it's an excellent point. I don't think we want the icon to be a religious symbol. It needs to be stand on its own. A peacock is an amazing creature on its own. And I think we should not stress the connection to any particular religion as a reason for choosing it.
Councilmember Johnson, followed by Member Tim Garamella.
So, thank you, Brittany. This is excellent. I'm excited about this. So I'm kind of follow up with, what Councilmember Rabati said and Councilmember Scrivens Johnson. When each one of these icons will be, very different. And the artist will have the ability to, create them or paint them differently. So I guess so are you gonna make sure that they're, well, no, I guess it'll come back to us in time and we'll get to vote on them, but somebody is gonna make sure that, they are very unique and that they are painted very differently. Are you gonna do that up front? What criteria are you gonna use up front? And how are you gonna handle that? Because I totally agree. I think the uniqueness of each one of these, is gonna be the beauty of it. And so I guess that's really my question. How are you gonna ensure that happens?
Yes, so we have designed a proposed review process, and we're going to start out with an application for the artist to complete. And the fabricator will almost provide like a coloring book sheet that shows a 2D representation of it. So artists will be able to kind of superimpose their designs onto that and give us a representation of what that will look like 360. And then from there, staff will do evaluation, and the Parks and Recs Community Advisory Committee will also have the ability to look at each of the selections that were presented by each artist, and then from there prioritize those. I think that certainly if there are designs that are very similar in nature, they won't both be selected. And then also they will just be prioritizing. The plan would be then to bring it to council for you all to make the final recommendation and selection.
Okay, thank you. And as long as I get the mic, I love the Peacock too. I'm glad it got the most votes. I think it has great real estate. I know on one of your bullets, you said something about the feathers standing up or down or whatever, but I hope if we choose the Peacock, that the feathers are up or open or however you call it, because the amount of real estate then to actually not just color the feathers, but actually put a design on it. There's that opportunity, and so that I find that very exciting. So, okay, that's it. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Garamella, please.
Yeah, I want to talk about the peacock. If you look at, like, Hindu mythology is not just one god. For Ganesha, you have rat. Then you have peacock for a different god. And you have like lion, and then you pretty much take everything under the zoo. Everything signifies something. So I would never take the religious aspect. As Frank said, a peacock is a peacock, and it's beautiful when it opens up. It's whole. I think during the rainy season, or if there's a particular season when it opens it up, and I think it has. It depends on how good the artist is and how good he depicts, because the feathers of peacock are very, very unique, and the color scheme and everything. There's not a whole lot of artistic that you can do, but it has to be good renderation is what I would say. And we have not picked up the artist yet, right? What we say, and then they pretty much will come with their ideas. Okay, got it.
Councilmember Rao, please.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to be involved in this discussion, but in the future. But I'm just curious as to how the icon subjects were selected, because one thing that is just my personal opinion that I wish we would have something that could represent like the first responders, the firefighters, the Shiloh community. I mean, I'm just trying to think what would, like we're in Morrisville, an all-America city. What are there icons out there that represent diversity and things like that? Or is that the role, I just don't know the process. I'm just curious as to how these icons are selected, and what would a peacock, if someone saw a peacock, what would that, what would that reflect about Morrisville? Why would they?
Yes, so about how we got to this stage, we've had online and in-person public engagement from both those multiple rounds of public engagement. So again, the Music in the Park, Juneteenth, as well as Pride, and July 3rd and Summersville. So at the first two events, we had our chalkboards out there. We had videos playing, what do you think should represent Morrisville? When you think of Morrisville, what would you like to see here? Online engagement, what would you like to see here? We actually had it kind of showing a diagram of, this is the background of the park, and what would you like to see in these locations? So it really very much was a kind of grassroots effort. And these were the selections that were proposed after people had more information about Morrisville is unique. We want placemaking. What do you think about? And these were some of the selections that came forth. Again, by the time we got to July 3rd event, there were so many votes and check marks besides certain icons that we had a top 8. And then by the time Smartsville, we had a top 4. So it's very much so led by community involvement. And I think the beauty of art as well, with kind of religious significance aside, I think it's important that when anyone sees something, it's going to resonate with them in their own kind of personal way. And so I can't speak to what resonates with each individual person, but certainly art has the ability to do that.
Councilmember Rabadi, please.
I forgot one thing on your list of potential locations. I would remove the dog park. A statue at a dog park is honestly only going to serve one purpose, and we don't want that.
I think I know that purpose. Yeah.
And one thing I like about the Dix Park trolls is how they're kind of scattered around and they're not necessarily in a place. Like maybe one of these could be along a greenway. Also, we could probably save quite a bit of money if we just choose a peacock that's precast somewhere and then paint it the way we like. So that's just something to keep in mind. If there's already good art, like the picture of the peacock you had here was not terrible, and it could be something that we could use. So that's just a thought, skipping the cast and go right to the painting if we choose a certain icon that can do off the shelf. But what would be unique about it is the coloring. So everyone's had their comments, and now you have 3 questions for us.
I do. So our first question, which icon is preferred? Start with the easy question first.
And how do you want to facilitate that?
Yes, so our top 3, we do have our peacock, butterfly, and dragonfly. If you wouldn't mind, we can do a show of hands if we have one that just has already surpassed the others. We'll do the peacock first. If those that are in favor for the peacock will raise their hands. Okay, we have a majority.
I think we need to talk about it, because I haven't talked about why I didn't want the peacock.
Okay, so let's have discussion on so you think the top 3 is what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a little.
So if anyone wants to make a case for or against anything, now is the time. Councilmember Sprague Johnson, please.
So, although I think the peacock is nice, I don't think it represents Morrisville. We don't have peacocks in Morrisville naturally, to my understanding. I like the idea of the butterfly or the dragonfly because of our sustainability theming, and butterflies and bees are what we have as part of our sustainability initiative. So I think that the butterfly, to me, is the closest extension to our theme of environmentally friendly and eco-friendly, and that a butterfly can be created and decorated in so many different ways. There's so many different varieties of butterflies as well, which is why I kind of said poses, but what I was thinking of is a variety of different kinds of butterflies or swallowtails or monarchs or all that kind of thing. And a peacock could be considered more religious after I look at that, but also it just doesn't seem natural in Morrisville versus a butterfly seems more natural to what we are kind of embracing. So that's why I did not select the peacock as my number 1. Thank you.
Looking around, does anyone else want to share any thoughts before we go ahead and vote? Okay? Yes, please, Councilmember Fender.
I said I wasn't gonna talk this time, but, I agree with Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, the butterfly, I wish there was something like the Durham Bulls that we could naturally associate. I was wondering whether anyone would come up with just an icon being a cricket, if nothing else, but I do think the butterfly is the closest icon to our character as a town because of those sustainability initiatives we've been implementing.
Okay, looking for anyone else? Okay. Why don't you go ahead and continue facilitating for us?
Right, so based on the discussion that was had, I know that we had 5 in favor of Peacock and I think 2 in favor now of Butterfly. Do we have anyone that would like to switch that?
Why don't we just do the votes again?
So, okay. So we will go for Peacock again. Those in favor of Peacock? Okay, so we have 3 now.
Okay.
All right, so we'll move on to Butterfly.
She kind of changed my mind.
We have,
You know what?
Steve? If butterfly is butterfly, then that's fine. Okay, so we have majority for butterfly.
Okay, so now I'm going to repeat. I love the butterfly too. I just think the peacock has a whole lot more real estate. I don't want, I was hoping that an icon would be large or have large enough real estate to actually have designs on them, not just color the feathers or color them differently, but would actually be able to have a canvas to do a design on, and that's why I think the peacock has that. I don't think the butterfly does, based on what you've showed us. And I totally agree with the bees and the butterfly kind of tie in with our sustainability efforts. But I mean, Raleigh has trolls. Where does trolls come from? And that worked out great. So. Yeah, there's no peacocks running around Mooresville, but I think they could be decorated beautifully and represent a lot of Mooresville. So that's why I was sticking with the peacock.
and I will elaborate on that. So the illustrations that were shown on that one slide, those are just for illustration purposes only. I think for, any statue or butterfly, we can certainly control size and make wingspan if a butterfly is selected so that we can have more real estate and space for more decoration.
Councilmember Rao, did you have something to add?
No, I mean, I'm just curious from a process perspective, and I mean, I know you're asking for the votes tonight, but why wouldn't we want to just wait a few weeks until the new council? Because there's going to be 2 new council members. So I feel like I'm making a part of the decision that I'm not going to be a part of in 2 weeks, and you're going to have 2 new council members. So why don't we just wait for them?
Well, the timeline associated with fabrication, it's kind of like a give and take that we have. One, that we want to have a decision so that we can start moving forward and select a fabricator. We also have a deadline associated with the grant. Those funds have to be encumbered by July. And so it's kind of a continuous process there that we have to make sure that we have this selection so that we can get the various steps that are necessary done so that we can utilize those funds and deliver on time.
Okay, so I think we have consensus to go forward with butterfly. There's going to be options about size and things like that to move forward, and the coloring, and this is just the start of a program, so we might also have a peacock as the next phase. Who knows? That's up to us, because really what we're hearing is just financial constraint at this point, so that seems to be the limitation. That's totally within the council's control. That was your first question.
Yes, 2 more. So the second is council comfortable with the Public Art Committee, and that's composed of staff from planning, communications, public works, and the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources departments negotiating and selecting the final design details for the icon. So I will go back to an initial slide here. So you see that once we identify the butterfly, that's our icon. There will be sketches completed on wings, wing shape, that configuration. And then, so there will need to be a body that's in charge of going back and forth with our selected fabricator to make sure that the details are complete. And so the question is, are you all comfortable with the Public Art Committee, again, composed of staff, being that body to complete those negotiations and review for the final design?
Councilmember Rabadi, please.
I'm just going to say it, no. I mean, these things are going up all over Morrisville. I want to be involved.
I'm comfortable with it because otherwise it's going to be just burdensome and take a lot of time. But I'm also like prefab, if you just give us a bunch of pictures, we can just choose one. That would be my preference. Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
So let's think about this a little bit. I know this grant is time sensitive and you're providing us with a fast track option of empowering the public, through other things. Would the Parks and Recs Department is going to be considering these designs, correct? I mean, they've been doing other park amenities and inputting and so forth like that. I think I would also like to see that at the same time they do. So maybe we can kind of invite the council to one of the Park and Recs Committee meetings where you're going to be reviewing the design so we can see it at the same time and therefore save some time.
So I think Brittany, I'm sorry, just to fast track this, explain what you're actually asking right here. You're not asking about the final product and the artwork. You're asking about the icon itself, correct?
Yes.
She's not talking about the work. She's talking about what the icon looks like, the size of it.
And that's
Please
exactly-
clarify what you're asking us here.
No, but that's exactly what, I mean, design is two parts. Part one is picking the icon. So whether it's colors or whether it's the mold, I think that's what Councilmember Rabadi wants to have input on. But if we have these discussions at the Park and Recs Committee and we know when that meeting is as a council, we could attend that meeting and see it at the same time and reduce some time.
Yes. Just to clarify, as Councilmember Johnson asked, we will be looking at, if the wingspan, if it's going to be up, if it's going to be an acute angle, if it's going to have a scallop edge versus smooth. Those are the types of selections for the actual statue. And then once it would move forward to Parks and Recs, that's when we'll have those applications come in from individual artists that will show the artwork that will be applied to it. But certainly, if council would like to have input on that kind of negotiation before the cast is made, that is something that we can do.
Were you done, Councilmember Scroggins Johnson?
So just to be clear, I don't want to add a step, like add the council step, kind of, because we know how that can be limited. And if you're already bringing it to Parks and Rec, I kind of want to do something like crashing the schedule, which in project management is you bring two things together and you get it done quicker at the committee level. So I don't know if that's okay with Councilmember Rabadi or not, but that's what my thought is.
So this is a staff-driven process. That's
For number two.
what Brittany's talking, this is not Parks and Rec involved. This would be adding another step to bring it to council. She's talking about having staff be a part of a design committee that actually focuses on the icon and the mold of the icon. I'm fine with you all doing that. I think we just talked a little bit about, I did anyhow, about real estate matters to me. So that's enough for me to be comfortable with you all taking it forward and bringing back a model then that Parks and Rec and us would be a part of when it gets to the artist selection, sorry.
Yeah, and to be clear, the question here was if you would be comfortable with staff negotiating that. If you are uncomfortable with staff having that ability, or maybe it starts out with the staff process and then it culminates with you all coming in at the very end before the final pass, that may be something as well. But I'll need to gauge your interest by majority.
Okay, so let me rephrase. I am not okay with staff completely going to the final design details. I want to see options, email if we need to, but I think that we need to, we're accountable for this selection across town and spending taxpayers' money, and I would have a heartburn if we had some unintended consequences. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else weighing in, so maybe we could have it be the choice between purely like this, or we get, council is involved at the very end with 3 choices that staff brings forward. Would that be 2 options, or does it have to be yes or no to this question?
It's not a yes or no, but once the fabricator is selected, we may, I'm not sure if 3 options would be, I think it might be maybe 2, or if there is a option and then you're saying that, okay, we would like the wings bigger, we would like the scallop edge, I think then we would be able to have a little bit more. But I won't say with full confidence that we'll have 3 separate type of iterations. But what I am hearing is that we can start off one by working with the fabricator to produce a butterfly, maybe come forward with, these are some design considerations that they have presented with, texture, scale, angle of wings, and then having some of those options brought back to council for you all to provide input.
Are people comfortable with that? I'm seeing a head nod, all head nod, some head nods. Mayor Pro Tem, sound reasonable? Councilmember Johnson?
I'm fine with
Yeah,
just
you're
adding
fine.
another layer
Yep, a
of
little bit.
input and another, I would like to see the whole process move forward. I'm comfortable with staff bringing back an icon that an artist would use. I'm comfortable with that.
Sounds like we want a little check-in though, at the end of this step.
Sounds good.
Okay. Question number 3?
The last one. So is council comfortable with the Parks, Recs, and Cultural Resources Advisory Committee reviewing and prioritizing applications and designs in the accompanying locations of installation, and then council making the final decision on that?
I think those last parentheses probably make us okay, but we'll see. Councilmember Scroggins Johnson?
I think the answer is yes, but again, I would like to be aware of that meeting that they're going to do that review so I can just kind of watch and observe and digest, and then when it comes around to the council final decision, I'll be more informed. Because there's a lot of chatter and consideration in the discussions at the committee that might be helpful.
I think that that's something we can update and use in notes, and also maybe an admin report that can be provided to council. I know that I will be presenting to the Parks and Recs Cultural Resource Advisory Committee on December 3rd, just to bring them up to date, let them know what icon was selected. So again, that's the first opportunity, but they won't be getting into details and things there, but we can certainly share that with upcoming updates.
Thank you.
Because that's what we did the murals also. It gave us that opportunity to be in the room, which was nice.
Kind of mirroring that process.
Okay. Any concerns with that? Are we good with that being number 3? We'll have final approval? Okay. Are there more questions or a wrap up or?
That's all for me.
Thank you very much for helping facilitate this. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to the icons being out there. In addition to the murals, we have a robust art program going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now at council comments. As always, for a full listing of events, please see the town calendar at www.morrisvillenc.gov and/or go ahead and download the Morrisville Central app, which also has everything that you need. Councilmember Johnson will share first, and then will be followed by myself.
This one is just an acknowledgement of some comments that were made tonight at public hearing, and then a request from the town manager and staff. There were comments related to a citation as it related to the Diwali event, the unsanctioned Diwali event that happened at Church Street Park and resulted in some damage. I'm not aware of those citations. The first I heard about this was the two individuals that spoke today, so I needed some background and some information, please, on that. I'm sure I'm not alone, maybe I am alone, but that came out of the blue for me, so I would like to know where and what happened there. Okay, and that, nothing to respond now. And then happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful, long weekend and enjoy time with family. So, thank you.
I'll be next, followed by Councilmember Abadi. I want to say congratulations to Auntie Saroj Sharma. She and her husband had a vision for a welcoming and inclusive Morrisville, and for that I'm glad. We are a stronger community because of their efforts and the generations of families who have chosen Morrisville as their home. As we look forward to the holiday season, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, as was just said. Thanks to our town staff. We had a really nice lunch today at Fire Station 1, courtesy of a group who refers to themselves as Morrisville Indians, who for the 5th year in a row provided a nice lunch for our staff in appreciation for the work done throughout the year. This year, Kitts Creek also did some fundraising in order to provide a nice meal for our staff. Please be sure to join us as we light up Morrisville on Saturday, December 6th, starting at 3 p.m. at Indian Creek Trailhead with our Christmas tree, and then on Sunday, December 21st, in that same area as we light our menorah. The Dragonfly 2.0 disc golf course is open behind our connector building. I'm thankful to our public works staff for having no gap in our disc golf for the region. I hope to see you all out there over the holidays. Next is Councilmember Abadi, followed by Councilmember Fender.
I had the pleasure of attending a silent reading event on Saturday at the Pew House. And I had a chance there to talk to a lot of people that care a lot about the Pew House and staff that are very passionate about the future of it. And I would not have said prior to this point that anything could open my mind about the possibilities of the Pew House. But I have to say that I think I'm slowly coming around, which was interesting. And also, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And yeah, I can't believe that it's Steve and Donna's almost last meeting. That's too much for me.
Okay, Councilmember Fender, followed by Councilmember Rao.
Yeah, I was a little sad this evening when I was getting ready, thinking about that this is my last real town council meeting. December 9th will be for the focus will be for the new candidates being sworn in, and for Vicky and TJ to be sworn in again as well. So it's been an honor serving the town and being a part of all of this and working with staff. So it is with sadness. I won't know what to do with myself to figure that out. But yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Rao, followed by Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Yeah, I'll save my goodbyes for December 9th, but I am getting a little emotional that it's been 14 years of my life. So I just want to thank everyone here tonight. And it's been one of the best chapters of my life. And if my mom is listening or watching tonight, I want to thank the Rao family and the Perek family, because I wouldn't be here all these years if it hadn't been for their support to stand by me along with my wife, Komal. But with that being said, I did want to just say that two things. Number one, if you haven't been to Dix Park, please over the holidays go visit. I went and saw the Trolls a couple of days ago. I was there at an art exhibit and unveiling. It was just amazing what they've done. And so for the council, as you look at town center and the future of Morrisville, it's such an innovative redevelopment. So please, if you're listening, go to see Dix. The Trolls are awesome. Global Entrepreneurship Week was great. The mayor and I were at the High Flyer Awards last week at Prestonwood, and I want to thank Tom Rue for putting on a great idea summit. The theme was called This Thing of Ours, and it was all about entrepreneurship. And then the final thing that I'll say is I really want to give a shout out to Tiffany McNeil and her economic development efforts. When you look at what's been going on with the life sciences, I mean, we were at Liquidia opening up the first tentative pathways. We've got exciting things coming along. The news of Novartis. I mean, this is really exciting, team, and it didn't happen by accident. I mean, the results are overwhelming what Morrisville has been able to to do. And it took a lot of planning and vision. I'm just very proud that I had a chance to be a part of it. But you all have a great opportunity now to build a very, very positive future for life sciences. So that's really exciting. So I'll end my comments with that positive note. Great job.
Councilmember Scroggs Johnson, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Garamilla.
Well, I'd like to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and we do have a tree lighting coming up as well before our next meeting, and I hope to see everybody there. I would like to say thank you to Councilmember Steve Rao and Councilmember Donna Fender for their years of service on the council. It has been amazing to have the same council for the last 6 years, and I know that you have made a difference to our town, and there's many different things that you're going to see for years to come that you inspired. So thank you both, and we'll have more remarks on the 9th, of course, but this is the bittersweet, you know, this full meeting that we have you tonight, we will have a partial meeting, you know, with a lot of changes on the 9th, and so this is my opportunity to say thank you. And that's all I have.
Mayor Pro Tem Garamilla.
I think first I would also echo with Liz. I was kind of surprised with that, person talking about the citations and like how many were given, how many people were called in, because one concern I do have, even if it's a misdemeanor with the things going on, especially with the immigrations, everything is getting flagged. So I want to be cognizant, what is done, and I need a full understanding because it is hard. And like people with a regular green card are fearful to even leave the country and come back because they don't know what will trigger it to be sent back, or basically. So that's my biggest concern, because it's not, and I'm kind of really surprised that it has been going on for the last 4 years. Someone was talking about it, like, is it true? So that was the first time I'm hearing that too. So that's number one. Number two is I had the opportunity to go to Salt Lake City for National League for Cities, and I would say we should be so blessed when I start talking to other towns and other states. I was having lunch with this lady who's a mayor of West Monroe in Louisiana, and they had so much to say about it. They said Delta Airlines started from West Monroe. I did not know that. And the first Coke bottling was at West Monroe, and a lot of other things. But also where it was interesting is a lot of states like Nevada and others are going away from the property taxes. So we have to be careful how that will, pass to North Carolina. And even Florida is trying that. What they are, and then I asked them, how do they really get their tax base? It's through sales tax. And I said, how much is your sales tax? And they said, if we do this property evaluation of the properties are so low, they can never get their, budget. So the sales tax is like 1 cent is almost equivalent to like $15 million or something. It's a different calculations altogether, but every state has different things. But the word is going around like no property tax, and when I hear that from our point of town, it's pretty much there's no budget. Hardly 70 to 80% of our underworm comes from that. So just giving a heads up of what's going around is also important for us to keep an eye on. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone. It was like you all worked very hard, and I think enjoy with your families. Thank you.
Town Manager Zudema.
Yes, sir, thank you. So in your next council week in Morrisville email, I indicated I wanted to ask you about 3 things, and then I want to give Kayla the floor just for a moment to talk about December 9th. So the first one is the retreat agenda. Sent you the draft of that. Just wanted to touch base to see if anybody had anything that they thought was obviously missing from that. If not, I think the only tweak I'll make to it at this point is there might be a little bit more time for transportation discussion. But other than that, it will sort of stay as it will. So again, that would be Thursday night here, and then we would head to Ashboro on Friday, come back on Sunday. So unless anybody has any thoughts, the thumbs up would be great, and we'll plan on proceeding with that agenda that you
Councilmember
received.
Rabati, please.
Just refresh my memory, how long was allotted in the whole Thursday to Sunday cycle for a discussion of sustainability?
Sustainability is not a specific topic. I assume it'll come up in our budget conversations about council priorities.
I feel like we had this exact same conversation last year. I really want to see us devoting some time to talking about sustainability and the sustainability master plan and where we are in relation to that plan and what could we be doing. And I mean, I would really like to see that.
I'd echo that. Any other thoughts? Okay, that'll be part of our budget discussion.
I'll see what I can do to commit some additional time there. It's tight, but I'll see what I can do.
Appreciate that. Okay, so I think we're good on the retreat agenda, sir.
Okay. Second item was the council meeting schedule for 2026. Again, generally following the second Tuesday and Thursday as regular council meetings. No changes from that schedule. And then normally having a fourth Thursday work session, not every month, but several of the months, to give us an opportunity to have that time. One of the changes on this one is that we are going to propose not scheduling a first meeting in July. That came up this past summer. At that point, it wasn't really practical for us to try to adjust the rolling calendar, but knowing in advance we could certainly accommodate that. That would give sort of a second period over the course of the year where there's a little bit of a break for both council and staff. You know, we do that coming up in December, so we believe that we can make that work in July if council is so inclined. And other than that, you have your typical budget work session, first one starting in April, and then we're proposing adoption at the second May meeting with some flex time afterwards if we needed to. Happy to answer any questions or otherwise just seeking a thumbs up with that. That would come onto your agenda December 9th on consent for approval.
Okay, people giving thumbs or giving thumbs up. Councilmember Rabati again?
Yeah, the work sessions, it's really hard for me to call a hard stop at 5 or 5:30, 2 nights in the same week. So could we have varied that a little bit? I mean, like, could it be the third Thursday, or like, is everybody fine with 2 meetings in the same week? Yeah, I mean, that's rough for me.
I know it's rough, but I travel in the off week, so sometimes I won't be attending work sessions then.
Okay, well,
We've
I may
heard-
not be attending the work sessions if they're on the 4th Thursday.
We've heard both of that in the past, quite honestly. We've gone back and forth because we did do it in the off week, and then there was concerns about being able to travel outside of meetings and having to be here 3 out of 4 weeks. So we had moved over to doing it in the same week as the second meeting. There are, I think, 2 instances in this schedule where that work session is the second Thursday instead of the 4th, and that's just to avoid some conflicts with either other events or trying to avoid when you have that 3-week natural break of not putting a work session into that. So again, that's an opportunity that people sometimes take advantage of.
So otherwise, I guess we're okay if we're staying locked in on that. And just with the caveat that sometimes some of the work sessions might go away if we've adopted.
Or could we pick a couple months where it is in the middle and then leave it, you know, I mean.
It's not that important. I'll make it work.
Well,
Sure.
Do you want to lock in some extra dates and then choose one or the other, depending on your travel?
It's honestly, TJ, it's not that deep. Let's not spend any more time on it.
Fair enough. Next.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask, I'm sorry, can I ask a quick question? Because
Of
I
course.
typically go out and put this on my calendar myself. Kayla, are you going to send us calendar invites to all of these dates Because then it will do, because then I have to go in and I take them out off my calendar, because I like yours better.
These will be sent via Outlook calendar to your town accounts, but any personal or work accounts you need to obviously add yourself.
And I expect
Is
you'll
it
see those.
possible to get our work calendars copied on those? That would really do me a solid. I have to transfer them over manually. I miss the work sessions all the time. So could you just copy my work email if I give it to you?
We can make that work. If, for anybody who would like that, I won't get into nitty-gritty. We can make that work easily. Just let me know.
That's very helpful, thank you.
Third item would be annexation. So we had a couple of those tonight. In talking with the planning staff, they have proposed that we consider doing the first of the two meetings on consent, and then the second meeting where there's the public hearing and discussion of it as an action item. If you look at what comes on that first meeting, it asks for two things. One, it directs the clerk to establish sufficiency of the petition, which you're going to do every time there's an annexation request. And the second item is adopting a resolution to set the public hearing at the next meeting. And you've done that in every annexation that's come before you. There's rarely much discussion. You're hearing the same thing the first meeting as you are the second. So just in the interest of trying to manage agendas, we would like just a thumbs up. It would be okay if the next annexation came on consent for meeting one and then it was brought as a public hearing for meeting two.
Public hearing in action, you mean, meeting two.
Okay.
Looks like you're good on that. Any
Great.
efficiencies are good.
Yes, we're looking for that. So Kayla, I'll turn it back to you for some December 9th mentions.
Well, as we've talked about, we've got an exciting meeting coming up on the 9th. There's lots of moving parts, and I need all of your help to make sure it's a smooth event. We don't want people to show up to this chamber and be turned away because it's full. So I sent you a pretty detailed email earlier today. When you get a chance, look through it. I'm just going to go through it really quick. That way I have you all here if you have any questions. So reserved guest seatings. Every council member that's being sworn in or is leaving office has 10 seats reserved in this room. For my other folks, you only have 5 seats reserved. Those seats that are reserved do not include yourself, because you're going to be sitting up here, the person administering your oath, and any dignitaries you want to invite. Those members will have separate seating reserved for them. Our overflow is going to be Fire Station 1. Any guests beyond that reserved amount, please direct them over to the fire station. How you break those groups up is up to you. Dignitaries will have reserved seating here, but they're going to have an RSVP form. I've sent you that link. Anyone you want to invite through that form, have them use that. We're asking the dignitaries to do that so we can reserve them a seat up in the front row. Make sure we acknowledge them and give them a parking pass. Please don't share that form with your family and friends, because that's just not what it's for. Your oath administers, oh yes.
So define dignitary.
Oh, yes. So any other elected official, justices, things like that, we've already invited all of the Wake County commissioners, all of our Morrisville's direct representatives in the federal level and the state level. We're also going to be, I'll reach out to the Durham County commissioners tomorrow. So anybody else you want to invite similar to those roles, it's really up to you on how you define that. Your oath administrators, I'm working with all of you on that. They're going to have a parking pass and they'll have a reserved seat here up in the front. Parking information, the dignitaries and the oath administrators will have a parking pass to Town Hall. You will each have one parking pass, which was at your seat today. Please don't make any copies. We're going to have those reserved parking, and then the rest is for our ADA accessible spots. So we don't want that lot to fill up. ADA folks do not need a pass, they just need the placard. All of your other guests, please direct them to park either at Indian Creek Trailhead, at the Connector Building, or at the Chamber Building. And I've sent them a map if that's easier for them as well. Encourage everyone to carpool as much as possible, as many people you can fit in your car here in the lot or into the other areas. We are going to have some limited parking, and the more that we can carpool, the less people are going to have to walk from far away. Refreshments, we're not going to do dinner beforehand like we normally do. We assume a lot of you are going to probably eat with your families to celebrate. We are going to have light refreshments during a 30-minute break during the meeting, right after the oath of office. We're going to invite everybody from Fire Station 1 to join us for that. That's kind of everything very fast. Any questions right now? Yes.
So in the past, we had drawn like straws to find out the order of whose guests get to sit in the front row, et cetera, et cetera? Are we doing a similar thing? Because otherwise my children will be standing here since 8 a.m., on the night. Yeah.
What we're gonna do to make it fair for everyone is instead of looking at it reserved going back, we're gonna do reserved going across. So your group will have the same amount of you as everyone else's group.
Oh,
The
so everybody gets a
exception-
first and a second and a
Exactly.
third.
The
Oh,
exception
interesting.
for that is Councilmember Johnson, Mayor Pro Tem Gurmella, and Councilmember Rabati. Since you all are not being sworn in, we are gonna have your guests more towards the back, just to make it a little bit fair.
That's very clever. Thank you.
Any other questions?
What time do you need us here by?
Normal time. So going forward from tonight, I need two things from you. The first is to send me how many of those 10 or 5 seats you're going to be using, because then the other seats we're gonna turn over to the public. The second thing is about how many people you're gonna have in the overflow location, just so we can set up enough seats. And then the third thing is please share this plan with your guests. We just wanna make sure everybody gets to where they need to go. Any questions? Perfect. If you have any, just email me.
Thank you very much for the email and the summary. Appreciate it. Anything for the good of the order, sir? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn, and happy holidays to people. I have a motion from Councilmember Rabati.
I thought Steve would want to do his last.
You want to second it?
adjourn. Steve.
Okay.
I move that we adjourn this meeting. Get the hell out of here.
Councilmember Fender, you want to second that? I have a motion from Councilmember Rao, a second from Councilmember Rabati. Fender, all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 7-0. It's 9:25. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Good night, Morrisville.